Hello, and welcome to Waiting for Game podcast presented to you by Melee Stats. And boy, am I excited for this episode. We have a wonderful little episode we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the biggest tournament, probably just purely by strength of entrance. Biggest tournament of the year. I am willing to say it. We're talking about Mainstage 2021. And in order to talk about this episode, I feel like we had to have a guest who, talk about strongest tournaments. I think possibly in contention for one of the strongest people, pound for pound, in the Smash community. We've got Chroma. Chroma, what's going on?
Hey. I'm excited, and I feel that I need to open up by saying that I am not the strongest person pound per pound.
Yeah, I
We had
said
a
one of.
patron.
Yeah, there's
We,
a
we had a patron who weighed less than me that could bench upwards of 315, so I
yeah.
definitely can't claim it. But I
Well,
will, you know, I will say that I'm in the gym. I'm lifting heavy. These guys are all jokes. I don't remember the copy pasta. I just, there's just too many that show up every day.
it's impossible to remember all the copy pastas. We're getting inundated with all the
Mhm.
copy pastas. But
I
yeah,
don't
I
like it.
mean, it's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I don't know. I just hope it ends in a good place.
Feel like it never will,
Yeah,
but
like
we're just constantly along for the ride.
I just feel like we've learned so much as a community, and one of those things that we've learned is maybe we don't let the Ganon's Ditto in a big money match.
Yeah, I don't know. That feels impossible to stop.
I
It's like
know.
it's like two magnetic poles just bringing themselves together.
Yeah.
But we're talking about magnetic poles here. Let's talk about one of those poles that we have on the Earth, the North Pole, and the scenes closest to the North Pole, of course, Sweden.
Canada.
Well,
That's where they keep the North Pole.
that's where they keep it.
That's where it
But
is. They won't tell you this, but it's actually in Canada.
the secrets they won't tell you in
You ever just
school.
follow your compass and you just like keep walking until it stops?
I can't say I ever have,
Yeah, because you'll
but
go to Canada. That's all I'm saying.
Canada, not the worst place, I would imagine. But I think I'm talking about something that might be a little better. Obviously, we're talking about good old Sweden.
Oh yeah.
Sweden this past week. I was gonna say put themselves on the map in terms of Smash. There's no real putting themselves on the map,
I
right?
would say so. I mean, I can't name any good Swedish players lately.
It's impossible to name one, let alone two great Swedish players.
Well, I mean, this is the thing about the top 100, all these players in their old era. I'm just saying, like, if you put Armada on the setup with Bone Zero and Wally, he's sweating to take two stocks.
Yeah, dude.
He's not doing it. The
You
meta
just
has advanced too quickly, too fast.
you just said put Armada on the setup with Falco Armada and 2025 Armada.
That's what I'm
So
saying. Yeah.
so yeah, of course. What do you expect?
All I'm saying is Polish has done things we can't imagine.
Polish has accomplished things that were thought unthinkable. Thought there was the idea that code in the game would not allow Peach to beat Jigglypuff in a set.
Like, if you put Armada, Prime Armada, in that bracket, does he do as well as Polish did?
Okay, I mean the real
All
answer
right.
is that he doesn't make it there because he's not from the East Coast. But
Exactly. He can't qualify for that. He can't even qualify for that tournament. That's what I'm
guy can't
saying
even
here.
qualify.
He can't even get in.
He thinks he's
But
in the conversation.
so I'm hearing Sweden finally has a good player, which is exciting.
Sweden finally has a good player.
Hmm.
It's been a while. I know they've got some good Guilty Gear players there.
Hmm.
They've
Is
got
that
some
a
good
Dragon Ball
Dragon
Fighters
Ball
guy?
Fighters players. They've got a good Ultimate player.
This one guy was really good at running break the targets or target test in Super Smash Bros. Melee. If you look up Armada,
Yeah. Oh, there's that good
yeah,
Super Mario 64 player
right,
too.
exactly. Yeah,
But
he's
in
there too.
terms of melee, it's kind of a dead zone other than
Yeah, other than
Pipsqueak.
Pipsqueak.
So this week we saw the same finale, which is the circuit of European TOs put together this year for online events. We got to see God, what did it end up being? I believe it was like 9 or 10 events, and the top 16 people in points got to play in the finals. And one of the cooler things that we've seen this year in terms of like an overarching story, I feel like the fact that they got TOs from so many different regions and countries is something that, as an American, I think would probably be impossible. So just once again, some European engineering kind of showing us up. But
I do feel
yeah,
like they're
well,
in the future. Like they're a
they
little ahead of us.
they are in a future that we cannot understand.
I'm not going to say any more about like how we run circuits because it will get too contentious.
Instead of, yeah, it would be too contentious to talk about circuits. Instead, let's talk about socialized healthcare for
I,
something that is like
yeah,
an easygoing topic.
right. I mean, I'd say so. Shout outs to you for all of your Smash World Tour work, by the way.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Did you
Yeah, I
get to
mean,
talk about this yet? Did you talk about what the players said, the feedback at all?
no, and I mean, the
We could,
feedback of what feedback? I'm
like
worried.
like you're just the chillest guy ever, which is either like you're the chillest
Okay.
TO ever, which is either good or really bad, I think. And I think it's good in this case.
Yeah, I didn't know how to take that, but
I
the event ran on time, so I took that as a good thing.
That's a very good thing. But anyway, not to get too distracted here. Uh, same,
Same. Yes,
same,
yeah. Something
same.
that you know, I I am not sure if those TOs are the chillest out there, but that is actually a compliment. That is something
Yeah,
that, we talked about being a chill TO that might not be a compliment. Um, when I say they're not the chillest TOs, that's probably the biggest compliment that I can give them because the stuff that they put on throughout the entire, 2021 year, pretty amazing. And the fact that it all culminated in this, yeah. Did you get a chance to watch anything?
honestly, no. This was one of the events that I didn't get to watch. I watch a lot of Pipsqueak play, and I end up keeping track of it. I've seen so many wild clips, like Yaраiden either punishing ice or mint. I think it was. Just like this, he's so good every time you hit someone. But I think the thing that confused me the most at the bracket was I saw Pip lose to Solo Battle. Solo Battle very good.
True.
So I thought, okay, wow, Solo Battle is really making a run. And I think the thing that surprised me most was just like Pipsqueak 3-0 Triff, and I watched some of the matches, and the things that Pip hit Triff with were just wild. And we have a little bit of insight on that, don't we?
I mean, yeah. So Pip is Melee Stats affiliated. He's a friend of the podcast.
Very. I think he's a patron at this point.
He's a patron. I don't know. I don't know if he can be more friendly to the podcast and literally giving us money.
Which is funny because I remember when we started, there was some contention between Melee Stats in Europe. I don't know if you remember this week.
Yeah. This was. I don't remember why exactly it started. I'm willing to bet that it was because of Ambi though.
Yeah, I
Um,
think Ambi said something that was pretty innocuous, honestly. And it was some
I
sort of shot at or about Europe, and they all came in just talking the good shit.
well, one of the great things was when we used to do the podcast. We used to talk about like the most asinine matchups that were going to happen. So
Yeah.
we would like bring up like some person who's like eighth on their PR, and then another person who's like eighth on their PR, and then we're like, dude, this person could really beat this person. Or I think it'll be close, but I think this person's going to beat. And then each region is like, how dare they say that the best player in my region is going to get whopped by this guy who I've never even heard of? So
It's great. You can really start some blood feuds that way. So no, Pip came in and there was some heat. And then honestly, we just all made really good friends. I don't really know what it was.
I don't know. I guess the charm of Melee Stats was too elusive,
Yeah,
or not elusive enough. I
not elusive.
guess
Yeah, right. It was just,
it's almost the exact opposite of that word.
yeah. We were just overwhelming with charisma. I'm sure that's what was happening. Yeah, but no, Pip's had some trouble with Triff out of pretty much everyone in
Hmm.
Europe who is active right now, or, like various debuffed Leffen, not practicing Leffen, hurt Leffen, semi-controller Leffen, that sort of thing, right? Or
Rusty Leffen, halfway
rough.
Rusty Leffen,
hmm And I
80%
don't want to I
Rusty,
don't want to shit
etc.
talk him for not being in this event because I think the reason he wasn't in the event was very good, and it sets a great precedent, which is that he didn't want to take a spot away from anybody else by winning or in any
Hmm.
way influence what happens. And I think it
It's
worked out very well this way.
yeah, it's really cool. For all that he shit talks Europe. I don't know if this is insulting for him to do this, but it is
Mhm.
definitely very cool to give another spot to someone who is on the come up. Someone when it comes to stuff like Europe, especially. Um, and just like people in the net play age, I think there's a lot of players who people just don't know. And one of the better ways to get your name out there is to be in an event like this. If you're one of 16 people invited,
Hmm.
I don't know if a lot of people go into this knowing every single person, and then you come out of it, you get to watch some sets, and then suddenly that's a good way to put yourself on the map as an up and coming player.
Exactly. And to be fair, Leffen did enter pretty recently, and he had some trouble in pools. He managed to also dodge Pip in the bracket after Pip lost to Ice,
Hmm.
which, maybe helped a little bit because Leffen rolled over everyone. It wasn't close, I don't think.
Not in bracket, no,
No.
no. But
So,
but yeah, I mean, you mentioned that. You mentioned Triff's recent sets with Pip.
hmm.
That one, they had a really close set at the
Yeah.
Smash World Tour Europe, and this one we kind of saw. It's one of those things. Like I will see if I see a player. I don't think Pip is on the come up. I think
Pip's there now.
Pip's there.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll see a player is up on the come up, and they will take someone really close.
Hmm.
Like it'll be like last hit. And if they do that a few times, then it's suddenly like, okay, I think that I think this is a player to watch out for because those players who take it last hit a few times look back on that and suddenly next time they play it, it's not last hit anymore. And I think we have like no greater example than from going from their Smash World Tour set to this set right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, it's a 3-0. I think that it was still respectable. I'm not saying he's like demolished him or anything, but dude, the ability of 3-0 Triff, I'm not sure if there's anyone not named Leffen in Europe who I would have said can do that.
I think it's also absurd because Pip said that Prof just gave him some tips in the matchup, and it didn't seem like a very long series of tips that were given. Like, hey man, maybe full hop sometimes, and just night and day. And the punish game was there, the neutral was there. 3-0. I mean, the entire run's nuts. I mean, 3-0ing Frenzy, winning the run back with solo battle, who was doing well. Was doing really, really well. I watched the Frenzy
Yeah,
set. I thought Frenzy was going to win.
that kind of has a. It's like just feels that way going into any European tournament now, right?
Whether Frenzy's going to win.
It's like is
Yeah,
Frenzy gonna win this thing? I don't think so, but he could.
he could.
Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
but
I mean, this current crop of European players that we're seeing,
mhm.
not only are they super good, I mean, we got a lot of mainstays here. Obviously, we've got Triff, we've got Prof, people who've been ranked top 50 in their lifetime.
Mhm.
But if you look at the other players here, I'm not sure if this event happened in late 2019, early 2020, something along those lines, something pre Slippy,
Mhm.
would people be saying Pipsqueak is guaranteed to make it,
No,
this far?
I don't think so.
Um, like Raul's a big one that we didn't even mention yet.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, a lot of Rule beats Lavingi. I never know exactly how to say it.
I think it's Lavingi, but I've heard people with so
Lavingi.
much like provocation and confidence say Lavingi, and I don't know what to do.
I don't have the ability to really tell them otherwise. Yeah, it's that way with a lot of these players, I think. And Europe is a really, really neat scene. Uh, did we lose Wheat? Did we hear him? Okay. Yeah, what I was gonna say was the one thing that's less surprising to me is how bad Pip beat. Oh, are you back? Oh yeah. That is kind of a mystery. But yeah, Luigi beats Yaredin. Yaredin actually, runs it close versus Ice 3-0's Mint. Is he the best Punisher in the game with Luigi right now? Yeah. I just don't want to do it. Yeah.
In between that,
Hmm.
which I mean, I think Eddie's really good right now.
Eddie is very good right now.
But I don't think Ja's that far off in
Yeah,
terms of overall play.
it's hard to say, and always with like a mid-high tier, it can be very dependent on just like what brackets you get in certain
Hmm.
ways. So if Ja came to the United States again, was ranked in NorCal for a bit, yeah, it'd be interesting to see, where he lands. But I feel that way about a lot of these players. I think Europe is building up anger meter from being told that they're not trying to get better. And
Yeah.
Pipsqueak is absolutely trying to get better. Frenzy's absolutely trying to get better. A lot of these players really are. Ice is struggling a little bit trying to deal with these players.
Yeah. I feel like Ice's thing for a while was the player, he was not entering a ton of stuff after a little bit,
Hmm.
a few years ago or something like that. And then he'd come and he'd just like destroy Prof or something. He like beat Lucky at Genesis. It was really hard to tell what his exact skill level was.
Hmm.
but every time he went to anything, he did really well. And now that we got to see more of him, yeah, it's like really weird to know if like what to think of him because you would think that seeing more would kind of solidify that. But he's still really amazing versus that up and coming crop of players. I think he's just kind of regressed a little bit to being a gatekeeper, which
Mm.
I'm not sure if I would favor him versus Frenzy right now or something like that. But
Yeah, that-
honestly, when it comes to players like that in Europe, I still think he's one of the best.
that's true. That's true. I think it's also very dominated with by very specific head-to-heads. If Pip starts beating Triff a lot, that was really one of his biggest issues in the past. I mean, we talked about, or I guess no, I listened to Pip talk about playing Professor Pro, and Professor Pro definitely has the fear of God every time that he plays Pip. It's you play that younger, faster
Yeah.
Fox who just does 90 every time, and your soul is breaking a little bit. And I don't know if it's like 5-0, 7-0. I don't know what it is exactly right now, or 5-1. It's a pretty lopsided record, and I thought Pip ended it with a four stock.
Yeah, pretty emphatic how Leffen's not here, so it's not really crowned as the king of Europe or anything. But
Right, right.
the finishing this off with an insane loser with a four stock on Prof. Yeah, if you had any idea that Pip was not the next best European player, this probably would shut any of those ideas down.
It's like, who was the best person that Pip didn't play? I guess it was Ice, who did take a set recently. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I think the way here's a good question. How
Hmm.
we're gonna see Pip going to Summit because of this.
Hopefully, yeah.
Uh, I'm an optimistic. I
Yeah, yeah.
think we're
Knock
gonna
on
see
wood.
him at
Knock on
Summit.
wood. Yeah.
And this is gonna be the first time that we're able to see him in America for a long time. He won that trip to Genesis 7,
Hmm.
and then something came up, and he was like, "I'll just go to another American major." And then the worst thing in the world happened. So we have not actually seen him in America
That's
since
true.
he was. I mean, he was on controller last time we saw him. He was not a
Yeah.
player
He wasn't
who
typing.
he was not typing. He was not someone who many people would make a note of. And now we are looking at him, and I gotta ask you, like, how do you view him in the current crop of players just in the world? I know it's
Oh,
tough.
God. Yeah, I mean, that's very difficult to sort of compare. I don't know. I would say probably North Azamu.
Yeah, I mean, like Pip has shown so much dominance at times,
Hmm.
and then you mentioned the ice loss. You mentioned there's just
Not a bad
some
loss, even.
no, he doesn't have bad losses.
Hmm.
It's just like every now and then he will have a loss to someone like solo battle or like ice or something like that.
Sure.
And it kind of begs the question of you know what Pip exactly are we going to see at American events, right? If we see him at
Hmm.
Summit, do we see the Pip 9 out of 10 times who comes and like destroys every player, or do we see that one where occasionally he will get fifth in a bracket or something, losing Fox to a Mint or something, right?
Right, right, yeah.
We've seen
It's
both sides.
I don't think he'd be out of place being like, and this is nuts to say it. I mean, wow, this bracket. I just keep looking at so I pulled up the main stage bracket just to contextualize, where I think I would put Pip right now.
Hmm.
And, I think top 16 on the lower side, like top 24. I don't think that's an unreasonable place to seed him. And just for context, we're talking about like the Zamu Slug, almost like Logan. Lucky is seated below 16th. I mean,
Yeah, it's
this is
it's
this is a it's a cursed bracket, but I don't know if you want to transition to this yet.
well, I mean, I think we're probably about done. Do you have anything else you want to say about Same? We saw some pretty crazy runs. We mentioned obviously we mentioned Pipsqueak, mentioned Raul, who's kind of an up and comer. Recently won a set versus Frenzy at Smash
Yeah,
World Tour.
yeah.
Leads it up with beating Kinzo and beating Lavingi. So if you are a Falco in Europe, I'm not sure if you necessarily want to see Raul in your bracket.
I don't know. I think Europe's great. I think their infrastructure is very interesting. They're just like 2 or 3 years ahead of the game on a lot of stuff, I think. And I don't want people to watch their tournaments because I like that the true intellectuals and masters of the game and posting watch those tournaments. I just don't want to silly it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
too good.
it's too good. People aren't ready for it. People never
It,
were.
it does feel like I occasionally get a glimpse into the life that they live, like the European life, when I'm watching some random Smash, like when they would have majors. I don't know. You see some like beautiful thing, like the byproduct of something that we don't have in America. It's like,
Mm,
damn. They're like, oh yeah, they're just getting off this train, this train that runs all the time and it's cheap and it runs
mm.
very far and it's just
Right,
like,
and
damn.
here's our new setup that allows us to put, custom interstice overlays onto every one of the matches, and
True. Yeah.
yeah,
Definitely have seen some crazy layouts. And hopefully we'll be seeing some more. But yeah, I mean, overall, this before we get off the subject, we're talking a lot about the results. I just want to mention again that the fact that this was being able to actually happen, and I know that there were I think like a term or two that actually ended up getting canceled. I would say tremendous success.
yeah, yeah. I really think that a lot of TOs are taking it very seriously how to run events these days.
Hmm.
They are not easy, and they have risen to the occasion so far, and nothing too terrible has happened yet. And that's a huge, huge relief. That's a huge load off a lot of people's backs, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what the future of online tournaments are. I don't know what it's going to hold, but if this is the way that we cap off online tournaments for Europe
Yeah,
at this level, I think this is a great way to do it because what they did for the entire year and for this event, really, they really kicked its ass.
yeah. Well done.
So we will see what's going to happen when they eventually transition back to having in-person majors. But until then, we gotta just look at our own American in-person majors, and we got a
Oof.
big one coming up
This
this week,
one
don't we?
is huge. This is a big one. This is, I mean, Riptide, pretty big. Low tier city and SmashCon a little bit less big
Hmm.
in certain ways, but this one seems like, people were targeting this, people were targeting Genesis in a big way. And if you look at these brackets, I mean, it's just absurd what we're seeing here.
So fewer entrants than Riptide. I think Riptide ended up getting like seven something. This is at six and some change,
We're
but
talking about 4 melee? Are we talking about across all
melee.
games?
No, melee.
We're talking melee,
I think
yeah.
this has like 1,600 people in,
Yeah,
in
this
total,
has like 1,700 people there.
which
Yeah.
is crazy.
Hmm.
But no, in terms of melee itself, Riptide had seven something. This has six something.
Okay.
So technically not the largest open bracket tournament that we've seen this year. But in terms of players, I mean,
Yeah.
this has got to be the most stacked. Riptide was this really fun introduction to a lot of people on land that we saw on Slippy.
Hmm.
And I think what Mainstage has that Riptide doesn't is that it has a lot of those same grinders, and it's putting them now into like it's like fight or flight mode, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you guys had all your fun here at Riptide.
Hmm.
Now play Cactuar.
Right. Exactly. It's really a situation, and I'm glad they did this where they gave people a lot of credit for showing up
Hmm.
through net play, and then as things came online, they also credited that. But yeah, a lot of these players are going to be put in some pretty nasty tests pretty early. These pools are nuts. You mentioned Cactuar. I think Cactuar's third seed is Toph.
That's
Cactuar's
crazy.
second seed in that pool.
Yeah.
Cactuar is, if I'm not mistaken, seeded to maybe get 33rd. Which,
Yeah, it's tough to really God, it's like
but it could go like anyway. So I'm looking at his bracket.
mhm.
He would play so Cactuar would play Toph. Um, second, third, not totally unreasonable. Winner will play Magi, and the loser of that is seeded to play possibly Kevbot.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and the
This
loser of that would get 65th.
this tournament is
This is
yeah,
gonna be a nasty one for
it, it's
sure.
gonna it's gonna be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go through this because I think there's a lot of really cool matches between, we mentioned Cactuar, Bladewise is here.
Bladewise is
We have
here.
Cactuar, we have Bladewise, we have a lot of people who, in addition to all these Slippy kids, we got a
Hmm.
lot of people who are finally making their way out of the woodworks. And even though I'm not about to say Cactuar and Bladewise are like, the most in shape melee wise of their career,
Right. Yeah.
I still think this is like a really cool opportunity to kind of pit the people who have been here for years, who are maybe uh, winding down, let's do like on their slow wind down, and then you
Hmm.
get the people who are just like zooming in. Um, we mentioned those matchups. Here, want to talk about this one? Shroon Panda. What do you think about
Right.
that?
Right. Yeah. Shroomed, and then the winner that what like plays Kadoran or something like that.
Yeah.
Which I always say Kadoran. I've never known if it's Kadoran or John. I've always said Kadoran my entire life.
I believe it's Kadoran.
Yeah, like San Diego's always said Kadoran. But yeah, no. Yeah, it's Kadoran plays the winner of Kata and I think Moth. He then plays the winner of Shroomed and Panda, and then like whoever wins out of the Gatsu, Aura, Scherzo, Blasi side of the bracket. But yeah, like Kadoran is 6th seed, right?
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
like at a huge major.
It's one of those things where, and I think this is one of the cool things about Mainstage is that
Hmm.
there's a lot of stuff that happens and you don't really realize it all until you get to see it like this. Until you see, why is Kudorian seated above Estuche? Oh, wait.
He beat him a lot. I mean, Kadoran
He-
just beat none, right? Kadoran beat everybody. He
K-
won. He
Kudorian
won
won
Super
that
Verdugo.
super stacked local.
Yeah,
Kudorian got top 8 at every tournament he's been to
yeah.
in 2021. Uh, yeah, it's kind of like one of those things where you have a lot of little tiny storylines going on,
Hmm.
and they kind of make their way through Melee like a ripple effect, and then you have something like Mainstage where you get a chance to contextualize all of that, and you're like, oh wait, here's what's been happening.
Yeah, this literally anything could happen, and it's so funny watching some of the seeding and how it unfolds versus how you think of how what you perceive as their skills or their weaknesses or something
Mhm.
like that. Yeah, a lot of these there are going to be some absolute fights to make top 64 that are just brutal. Like Waff's round to make it to play SFAT because SFAT's a very high seed. Waff is one of the lower 2 seeds. He has to play Rom.
That is crazy.
Yeah, like that's brutal, honestly. And then if he loses, he has to beat Scherzo to make top 64.
I think Waff might not be entering this tournament, but like the
Oh, you think
fact
he's not?
that yeah, I think there's some
You're
conflicts
right.
with him just kind of devoting to commentary for the weekend, but
That
like
makes sense.
the fact that a
Okay.
player of his skill would have to play two people like that who
Mm,
I said this before, do like the thought experiment of imagine it's late 2019 or early 2020,
mhm.
and it's like, okay, your bracket's Rom and Scherzo. I'm not sure if
Okay, what is that? Who are they? Yeah. And then
yeah,
we just see the results now, and it's like, oh yeah, no, that's a problem now. But it's funny because KJH is coming back, right?
yes,
And
that is a very fun one.
KJH's match to make it to top 64 winner side would be the Swooper.
Yes,
And it's messed up that even after KJH has now beaten Ginger a couple times,
4-1 and locals in
four
the
and one in
past.
locals over Ginger in the last like week. By the way, KJH just decided to lift a bunch of weights, learn how to code, and just leveled up his life, and he's beating Ginger again. Um, and yeah, so he plays the Swooper, and you're like, I don't know if he's got it.
I mean, the thing with that is that like the Swooper's good. Don't get me wrong,
Hmm.
but think about the character that you are giving KGH, right?
Yeah, but it's the Swooper. I mean, he doesn't play. He's built. He's constructed in a way that is different.
He is built different. You are right.
He
He is constructed in a way that is not similar to others.
sometimes like start to lose sets, and then he just loses even harder and grinds down his opponent's ability to keep winning, and then he wins. Like I watch like him play Ben, and Ben will be winning and seemingly committed to just timing him out and walling him out the entire time, right? What does Swooper then do? Just says, "All right, sure." And he just keeps testing him over and over again. It's
Well,
awesome.
truly, that's the New Jersey in him, right? It must
Oh
be.
yeah, yeah. Like, you're trapped with me. I'm not trapped here with you. So it's one of those things where like KJH is going to play someone who, maybe he's very familiar with the style, maybe Swooper is just extremely resilient to bashing his head against the brick wall of whatever KJH is doing, right?
The great thing about these matchups is that you're explaining this one, and then you
On the
look
other
at
side
you
of
look at right on the other side.
it's
Or so
face roll versus mop money.
Facial versus Mont Money. Let's keep it on Jersey. We're gonna talk about Jersey people again. Mont
Yeah.
Money, someone who
Hmm.
I think if you had to ask like a random melee person, probably not that much of an idea. But Mont Money is just like every person on the come up who had like a huge pop off has lost to Mont Money several times.
That's true. Either on
It's
the
like
internet or in person.
I love Wally. Wally's amazing. Wally, I think, is like third in New York or something now, just
Yeah,
because of nightclubs alone.
he's also second in Jersey if Swedish is at 0.
Yeah.
So it goes Flex, and correct me if I'm wrong. It's Flex, Wally, Swooper, and then I think Bot Money.
And the thing with Mott is that he has several sets on Wally.
Yeah.
It's like anyone who like, you see their big results,
Mm-hmm.
like an East Coast player, like, oh damn, they're good doing all this.
B
Probably
bets.
lost to Mott money.
B bets.
B bets, yeah.
Yeah. Who is
It
from Jersey? He's from Jersey.
that's what the common notion is, and
Yeah.
I don't believe that to be incorrect.
And this is messed up of me. Player that I didn't think would do very well at Smash World Tour. I would have maybe picked Face Roll because Face Roll's been doing real life stuff. I don't
Yeah,
know how much he's playing. I don't know what he's doing. And then he just showed up and whooped people.
yeah,
It's hard. Lee, Meds, and Plup.
yeah.
Yeah, and he just like I don't.
I think so. As much as I love Griffin, we had him on. Um, you could tell me he was going to get fourth in that pool, and I wouldn't have. I would have would not be
Yeah,
able to debate you on that.
I'd be like, yeah, fine. Like it's Foxes. They're all really good. They've been practicing a bunch. Maybe he's just not, there.
So the fact that we're going into Mott Money this match with like the same hesitation makes me wonder if we're the ones who are just bashing our heads into a wall,
Yeah,
or if there's something here. When it comes to something like an open bracket major, there's some
could be different.
sauce, a little different special sauce that's in that, and I'm
Not
interested
warming
to
up the
see.
same way, are you?
No,
Not.
it's a different experience, right? But
Mm.
we will see what's going on with Face Roll, because I think that I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I think he could have a really good bracket, potentially
Roll's
make.
got a funky one, right? Because it's in that little quarter, right? So it's Face Roll, my money. On the other little part of it, which is gonna be weird as hell.
Yeah, AZ is gonna love that one. They're gonna know everything about that matchup for some reason.
The favorite of this match is SFOP, and he plays. He plays.
You say it.
He plays Army.
Yes.
He plays
Uh,
Army, and that's. I mean, even. I mean, that's a tricky one, right?
SFOP is someone who cut his teeth in the hard-fought land of DFW. We got a lot of sets on bananas. I
Yeah,
think
I don't.
SFOP is just really solid all around. Super fast,
Hmm.
but you talk about someone who is really good at like a puff matchup, or someone who's really good at ices, and I think SFOP fits that role.
Yeah, like that could be.
Now,
You could tell me literally any combination of results, or yeah, I don't know. Sure, Army 10 stocks him. Yeah, SFOP takes 30%. Sure. Like, either way, it's fine.
the
I
thing
don't
that I love
remember.
about this set is that
Mhm.
the winner plays Axe.
The winner plays Axe, which is awesome. Like Axe, number one net play hater of all time, finally back at a big in-person major, fought his way through Riptide, brutal sets, constantly on the verge of being eliminated. Like Trail literally just has to do a handoff, and he wins. Like Kurv is there, and that's game 5. All these games are game 5 or game 4, and people are rooting for him like he's an underdog versus Crudo and Wally. It's nuts. People are going crazy. So now he's like, all right, I'm settled in. Next tournament, Army's there. Army's around.
The
It is.
army, it's so great because it's not free, right?
No,
First off, I don't even think Army versus Axe is free, even though I
no.
even though, hey, I'll be at the tournament. I might throw a 5 on that if it happens.
I'd bet
But
money, yeah.
I don't think that's necessarily free. And then you look at, you got to earn this shit, Army. Like if you're Army, you might see Axe in your bracket, and then it's like, okay, you have to beat one of the most cracked foxes to ever play that
Mhm.
Ice Climbers matchup that well. It's just like, I think that's kind of a whole thing with this, right? If you want to,
Mhm.
Face Roll might have Axe in his bracket, and I think that could be kind of good for Face Roll, but he's
Uh,
got to fucking earn it because he's got to play Mott.
right, and he's got to play KJH. I like Face Roll's
Got to play
bracket. I
KJH.
honestly, I think he looks good versus Army. He was doing very well in that head-to-head. As things kind of, I don't think he's unbelievably worried about that either.
Yeah.
I don't know if Axe stays Pikachu. I don't know. I never know. I really never know. I don't like Axe's bracket really at all because if he wins all of this, he probably plays Wizrobe, which is also not great.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't love Axe's bracket. I'll say it right now. But I don't know. Like
Yeah.
if KGH just like beats Face Roll and then loses to Axe and Wizrobe loses to Android Zero, I don't really know.
It's nuts. We'll get into this later. We're going to talk about, so there's
Yeah.
6 summit spots on the line. I want to get
Oh my
into like
God.
the real nitty gritty
Oh my
of who we
God.
think might make it.
It
But
could be
let's,
anybody, but it
it
also
could be,
can't. Like I say, like there's so much that can go not to chalk, right? There's so many things, there's so many tenuous matchups. But if you look at the top seeds, it's like, all right, Johnny is 7th seed, Lucky is like 20th seed. God, Fiction is the 8th seed. Like you're gonna have to beat like so many good people probably in a row that there's probably not gonna be a way to fluke into this.
yeah, it's like you have to earn this shit. This is a tournament where I think there are a lot of different ways to make it a top 16 because I think that the pool of players who are going is so good and that I like upsets will happen. And honestly, I will like not even sure if I will refer to a lot of these as upsets when they end up happening. By seed, sure.
Mm.
But a lot of these players are going to come in, and I don't think it's crazy that they will be able to take sets. Now, the difference between making an upset, making 2 upsets, and making top 6,
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's a big
completely different
deal.
game.
I mean, the quality of the players that are just not projected to get close
Hmm.
is really interesting. But at the same time, you can see it happening. Like Logan is not seeded to get top 16, which I don't think is an unreasonable thing looking at the players here in recent performance, right?
Yeah,
Is Logan going to main stage? Just want to clarify because he keep walking into this rake over and over again.
yeah, it does seem to be the case, right? That we
Yeah.
never
Like,
truly
are they
know.
there?
I believe Logan is going to be in
Oh my God.
attendance.
Logan's seeded to play Zamu.
No, that's
That's so wild. Okay, so Logan, they've got meds, and if they win, it's SVAT. I mean, I don't know. That's not the worst. But if they
yeah.
lose, they play the loser of HBox, and it could be Zamu, it could be Slug. Oh my God, Slug could just beat HBox. It'd be so
Yeah,
funny.
this is actually a really, so
It's the
this is a
most
tough
cursed
bracket.
bracket of all time. All of these
Oh,
brackets are so
just
cursed.
don't make it to losers.
Fiction and Ginger are seeded to play in the Falco Ditto.
It is a new era of content.
Android Zero, if he loses to Eddie, could just play CPU Zero again.
God, the
CPU Zero is gonna play Wizrobe.
the players here, the level of play is
Oh my
it's
gosh.
just like I mean, I don't know. I don't want to be the guy who like suddenly this is the first time you've ever seen anything like this.
No, no,
But
no, but it's cool though, right?
the level of play that we see as it goes down, it's not the most stacked top 64 I've ever seen, but
Hmm.
like I think people might come into this assuming that people like CPO Zero or something like that are underdogs. And this might not be like as stacked as a Genesis or something, but it's a tournament
Right.
where you're gonna learn that you should not underestimate anyone in the Slippy era. I'm not sure if anyone is currently, because I feel like there's been a lot of times where people learn that.
Hmm.
But this is
You're
gonna
right.
be the nail in the coffin. If you have been sitting at home and not playing online, having a family, having a job, having a spouse, I feel like
you you are gonna sweat this tournament, or you're gonna secretly still be super super good for no reason, and it's you're just gonna spoil some kid's day. This is really Zoomer who practices 15 hours versus 30-year-old guy who's just like, hey, what game is this?
and
I used to be pretty good.
I don't really know what like where does that balance right now?
I have
Because
no idea.
it would always be 35-year-old guy, right? The 35-year-old guy would always win those. 32-year-old guy, 35 maybe a bit old.
35. Well, Dreffin's here. I mean, I don't hate Dreffin's bracket.
Dreffen actually, if you want to talk about the 30-year-old versus the 16-year-old, I think that was the one of the first comings was getting destroyed by Bucky the Bort bus driver or whatever it was,
Ugh.
later known as Zuppy.
Does netplay count?
That was in person in like 2018, but
Does in
maybe
person
that
count?
doesn't count. There was probably dweens, so that's the wonderful thing about the melee rule set is that there's probably a reason where you can say
You
that.
can always, if you don't like a result, you can just always invalidate it, can't you?
Well,
Yeah.
like melee before 2010, that doesn't count, and then
No.
melee, actually, yeah, pre
After
Evo
2012
melee,
doesn't count either.
yeah.
Like, I'm going to
If
assume,
Armada's not there, it doesn't count.
and if Marmada is there, does it really count?
Yeah, like, how much can it count? Yeah,
Yeah, and it could have been on 0.9. We don't know anymore. We don't know
it's truly
anything.
impossible to tell.
This is the first Melee tournament of all time, is what we're facing. I don't
It's
think
actually possibly not even the first. It might not count.
it might not count at all. That's true. It could be the 0th. Like, I don't think Ginger's going to play Motoko round 1. That doesn't look like it's an actual thing. I think it's one of those where somebody isn't going to be there, so they just put them in the junk seed.
Mhm.
Like, obviously, if you've looked at the bracket, you see that Face Roll is seeded to play Luigi Master for his first round, and that's not going to happen either.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Unfortunately, a few really cool people who had to drop out,
mhm.
but yeah, you were mentioning Ginger's bracket, right?
Yeah, I mean, so it's funny because I think Ginger will do well. I don't know how to think about any of Ginger's results on net play or any Falco results on net play. I think it's very tricky. Um, yeah, it's funny because Ginger once again has an interesting situation if I look at this where he has to play Rocky, right? So it's one of those, if he loses, then he's bad at the Falco Ditto, and if he wins, it's like, well, he's a better. And then he plays Fiction, who is seeded up.
Yeah. I
And
mean, this is the dawn of the new age of fiction.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if any of us knew what happened this soon, and yet he goes to locals and he'll just destroy S2J, and then he'll go to stuff like SWT. He'll go to the Smash World Tour
Right.
for
The only
West
Falco
Coast.
to clarify, to qualify.
Yeah, it is. It's completely nuts to see the level of play in his Falco that's already there. I mean, Fiction is one of the premier players of this age, right?
Right.
I mean, his Fox before we had to shut down everything was top 10.
He
Like
went Marth one SoCal tournament and just beat Mango.
beat Mango.
Yeah.
His ability to pick up characters, and even his ability when he wasn't even playing that much, to just come in and like get 25th at every Evo or something, was always really impressive. And then in the past few years, like 2018 on, we saw himself devote himself to the game and paid off. And shouldn't be a surprise to anyone that devoting himself to Falco is paying
Yeah.
off already.
It's incredible. I mean, he had like one bag tournament where he lost to Asashi, which is not a bad loss. Asashi, great. Unbelievable third seed, by the way. Prof has
Yeah.
Asashi as the third seed. That's
Talk about
terrifying.
talk about Ginger. Yeah, Ginger plays the winner of Prof versus Asashi, which I mean, there's probably no second and third seed that you want in your pool.
I don't think
If
you really
you're,
want them. Yeah.
but yeah, you have a Florida Marth and a young Falco who's gonna ditto
Right.
you.
So
So
you've got young Southern Falco. You then have Rocky, who spent a bunch of time in San Diego Falco. Next is probably Fiction, another SoCal Falco, right? Um, and then after that, if he wins, he'll probably maybe play IBDW.
which
Or
is
if
the
Albert
one
wins, it's a Fox or a Falco again.
Falco.
So he knows what matchup he's going to practice, which is good. If he loses to Fiction and things go totally according to chalk, it's probably one of KGH, Billy Bo Peep, or SFOP.
Yeah.
And then if he wins that, it would be Albert. And then, totally by chalk, which will not happen. For ninth place, he plays Kadorn, which sucks. I mean, you're just literally going through I have to beat a bunch of Falcos, and then I get to lose to Kadorn. And if he beats Fiction, right, we talked about if he beats Fiction, he would play IBDW, and then if he loses to IBDW, it's like Gatsu.
Yeah, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I think that online he did pretty well against IBW.
Yeah.
I mean IBW. I'm not putting any huge bets against him anytime soon, but yeah, I think like the fact that we look at Ginger's bracket and there's just like like danger signs going off at every corner. I would like to. Yeah, I don't even want to say it's a Ginger thing. I would like to just say that's
Yeah,
a
it's like a
main stage
2021
thing.
Melee thing. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I was
You
going to say
mentioned
that.
losers. Losers in for every person here is crazy. I don't think
Yeah.
there's a losers match that isn't cursed. It's like everything's scripted. You mentioned Logan has to play Zamo or Slug, people who he just lost to.
Right.
Ginger, if Ginger plays KJH for top 16, like the amount of just like
Just cursed
weird little,
matches.
yeah.
Yeah, like Mott Money the Swooper for 33rd, France versus Army for 33rd. I mean, these things probably won't happen because they're seated this way. But yeah,
Hmm.
like just to finish it up on Ginger, I think he's got this really interesting bracket where if he makes it through the entire shit river, he's really proven himself, and I think it would be a great result. I think it would be honestly better than low tier city if he gets the summit spot here. But there are a lot of spots where like, he's either, slightly better than a coin flip or like, 80 or 90. But if he loses, it just keeps adding to this narrative of like, I don't know if I'm as good as I was on net play. And
Hmm.
it's very frustrating. I mean, it's a big test.
Well, yeah. So we know that he was doing very well in net play. He had those
Hmm.
H box wins.
Yeah.
He had those wins on Don't Test Me when he went Doc,
Yeah.
which we are not going to talk about.
Honestly, Ginger should just go Kirby.
Ginger should go Kirby.
We should just go Kirby sometimes.
uh, that would be a very fun wrinkle in his whole shtick.
Of Falco is the best character.
Falco's the best character. He's very, he's like, here's how he should be played.
He's
Very,
super
very
funny.
even tempered.
He just goes Kirby.
I mean, Kirby can shoot two lasers out of a
Cur-
short hop when he has
You
the Falco ability.
you joke, but there was Gold Dart as San Diego Kirby, and the Falcons actually hated playing versus him because it was like awkward. He'd duck a bunch of the lasers, and then he'd eat you, and then he just starts like full hop triple lasering or whatever it is, or
You
like
know what
full
we
hop
should
double
do?
laser.
We
Yeah,
should mod Falco Kirby into the game. Just Falco Kirby.
just Falco Kirby. You get to start as Falco Kirby.
You
And
get
play
to
Falco
start, and
Kirby.
it's against. You can play against fucking Fox and Peach and Falcon, and you still get to be Falco Kirby.
It's like it'd be like a roguelike. You're just floating around and you're just shooting everyone. Can you imagine like being Ganon and playing Falco Kirby? He just shoots the gun as he's recovering.
I really want to see. Okay, we got to make this happen. I want to
I
see
gotta see Falco Kirby.
Falco Kirby versus Puff. What happens?
Falco Kirby versus Puff is contentious because I don't think. Oh God, it's like
I don't
Kirby's
think
punish game. I
I
don't
don't
know
think
how
Kirby
Kirby
could do
does.
anything, but
I think it'd be really, really funny. Yeah, I mean,
God,
this is just a bracket full of endless opportunities, and you
truly.
know, we're really. I think every round will be interesting. There will be a bunch of round one stuff that's interesting. The top 128 matches are really interesting. Chillin' Dude is third in his pool. And then you look and a second seed smash out and you're like, yeah, all right, that's fair. I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, every time you find something that looks egregious, you see the context and you're like,
Yeah,
okay,
that makes sense. Like
never mind. It's like, why is Lucky, this? It's like, oh, okay, yeah, everyone above him has done really well. Yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna I'm gonna read you I'm gonna read you some seating in from
please do.
lower seating to higher seating. Gatsu,
Hmm.
none.
Okay,
S2J,
all
Kador.
right, yeah,
Yeah, and it's just because he's beating them all.
and it's hard to argue that that's not right.
Yeah,
It's
even by results against the field and the specific head-to-head of Kadoran playing all of those players lately,
yeah.
because Johnny's lifetime very very positive on him.
Yeah, I mean, he still has losses to those players recently too, but the how he's been able to do versus Falcon
Hmm.
after what we've seen, for the players who've been watching, for the people who've been watching those players for a long time, Kadoran versus Johnny was not too pretty. So the fact that it looks, you know, approaching pretty on,
Right.
on Kadoran's end is
Yeah.
an accomplishment in itself.
It's funny
Um,
watching his Marth succeed versus Falcons.
Falcon, yeah.
Yeah, because there's been kind of like it's a couple they're like a couple Mars who played the matchup a little bit funny,
Hmm.
but they always looked a specific way when they played speed wise or just the way they position themselves. And it's cool watching Kadoran now do that. But it's also funny that Kadoran is perceived as the slow Marth. Like Kadoran on
Where,
an objective measure is very fast.
yeah, where have we gotten in Melee where
Yeah.
it's like, that
Right.
slow one, Kadoran.
Only slow player. Right. Here's another thing. I don't know how to put this in the funniest way, but this will probably be the last thing I say about it. Here here are people that are seated lower than Zamu and Slug.
Hit me.
Lucky.
Mm-hmm.
KJH.
Okay.
I was gonna say Fat Goku, but I think Fat Goku is seeded higher than Slug, if I have this right. Because IBDW is the first seed,
IBW.
not
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So KJH Lucky, Blade Wise, just to throw it in for fun.
Yeah, that is a fun one.
That's a fun one. Let's see, Shroomed,
Also fun.
Shroomed Magi, Bobby Big Balls, just to really throw it in, right? And
Blast
then
from the past.
right, and then like a bunch of players that are not even retired, right? We just haven't seen them in a while.
Yeah.
Like Smash Daddy could still be grinding a bunch. Dreffen is still very, very capable as a player and plays a bunch of net play. It's just funny to kind of contextualize all of this and just think,
The
like, does this
number
make sense?
the number of one time or multiple time top
Hmm.
100 players who are here, and the number of people who have never been top 100 who are seated above them
Yeah,
feels wrong.
right. It's
But
like we need to not have an Arcadian because it wouldn't make any sense.
yeah, Ben was talking to me about that at Smash World Tour. He's like, we gotta have a National Arcadian 3, and I was like, it's gonna be like you versus Logan.
It would be him, Logan, and I have to think about who else would be there.
Aklo. It's gonna actually be Aklo destroying both of them.
Oh my God. You could take the top 8 at that Arcadian and enter them into, like, take a random selection of top 30 360 players.
Yeah,
I don't know if I favor the 30 360 players.
yeah. If you ran an 8v8 crew battle and it's
Hmm.
just like 8 people selected 30 through 60, and then the top 8 of a National Arcadian if it ran today. Yeah, man, I truly don't know.
Do you think we got to put out a 2021 something or somebody will?
Um,
Because we're going to be in the spot at the end of 2022 where we will have a not top 100 player either top 8 the major or win the major.
yeah, it definitely like becomes annoying for the Pikachu 942s of the world to be like, this is the highest placing a not a player who's never made top 100 as at a
Someone
major.
155th on the.
And it's like everyone's like, yeah, well, they've gotten ninth at every major so far. We know they're good.
It really is just like all of those shonen where just the main character never passes the test or never gets ranked up and they're just like whooping everyone and it's just not really a big deal. But I kind of like that. I think we need to remind ourselves not to stress, 85th versus 97th.
It's very fun, and it's something that I also hate a lot. It's like,
Yeah.
we are drawn to the things that we don't like, and every year I'm like, oh God, I gotta do this again. It's like fucking rope back into it, and
Everyone
then
gets very mad.
it is fun, and then
Hmm.
it's actually only gets more fun the more confident I am that they are not 79th or whatever, that they are in fact 82nd. And it's like, I know your local records. You think people don't, I
Well,
do.
I like it as someone who thinks that it should be a little bit harder for like people to know who's going to win.
Yeah.
I also think it should be, I would like to get sponsors out of the kind of binary of like, okay, well, this person's rank X versus rank Y. Like, you need to understand that there's a lot of value here that you need someone to assess the space to do, and to not
Yeah.
discount people because they're ranked 17th instead of 11th. You know what I'm saying?
My counter argument to that is that Albert got signed by LG before Ginger did. And I don't mean Albert Liu. I don't mean the
Oh,
very,
the
very
ratio
good
guy?
Falco player. I mean the guy who I think is banned from Twitter now,
He's
who
banned
would
from
go,
Twitter now.
he'd
Yeah,
go
I know who you're
ratio.
talking about. Yeah.
Which, we weren't talking about influential people, but if you want to talk about some of history's most influential people in a negative way, I think Albert from Twitter deserves a mention.
Yeah, up there with Pol Pot.
Well, I didn't say it, but yeah,
Just
what he has wrought on Twitter as a whole, that just like has ruined a sense of communication that was already fraught.
right. It's that and like the Occupy Democrats account that's like, we should ban drunk driving. That's government outreach. That's government overreach. I'll say it right now.
I mean,
All
what's
right.
next? I need a license to operate a damn toaster.
That's what I'm saying. Hell yeah, brother. So I was kind of mixing together a couple of our topics at once, but I want to now mix together two more. So we blended Slippy Kids versus old people of Smash,
Hmm.
and the preview of the bracket. I want to know which which Slippy kid, so to speak, is going to place higher, and how many Slippy kids do you think are going to make summit spots?
Okay, yeah. Are you want to give me some Slippy kids and I'll weigh in, or how do you want to do this?
Yeah, I mean, so I have the top, so many seeds up just to help me out a little bit.
Sure.
I really think I'm putting the over under strongly at 1.5, and I think it's going to be under. Like, I really think it's going to be one
For making top
for making it to
six?
the summit. Yeah,
I don't know. Well, you got to think of like what's the definition of Slippy kid in that sense, right?
that's true. Actually, I'm being really, really loose with it.
Is Kadorn a Slippy kid if he
Well, that's
makes
what
it?
I'm saying. I'm saying Kadorn's a Slippy kid, which is absurd, right?
Okay.
I'm saying Zambu's a Slippy kid. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I don't have a good character. I don't have a good characterization here. Can you is Fiction's Falco a Slippy kid? Doesn't play Slippy. Like, you
It
know,
is it is someone who's only started playing in Slippy, and I believe only Slippy results like losing to Man Ray. Um,
that's true
no,
actually.
this is a
And
good.
defeating Oven and then DQ
Yes, getting DQ'd into losers, defeating
defeating
Oven, and
Oven,
then
leaving
DQing immediately.
because yeah, maybe that's a terrible question. Maybe I should just rephrase who do you think's getting those
No,
six
no, no.
spots?
I think that it is something that is fun to
Who's
bring up
who's
because
the biggest surprise, I guess? Who do you think will make it to Summit?
you will. Well, let's see. Because I want to talk. I think your thing about Slippy Kid is also it's pretty
Yeah.
cool because like there's a lot of different flavors, right?
Right.
You get the B bats, which is a different flavor.
B-Bats is an absolute Slippy kid. Like,
He's a
did not know in-person tournaments. Might not have known in-person tournaments were real.
Yes. B bats tweeted it was like it's gonna be my first Jersey tournament in like 3 years. I was like, what? My first in-person tournament. He said that like in
Yeah, it's
July
like
or
my first
something.
in-person tournament. Yeah.
I mean,
B-Bats.
honestly, there's a scale to it all, right? And it's
Right.
like Ingen, the Japanese Marth player who literally learned about Melee because of Slippy or something like
That's a
that.
Slippy kid. That's
I
like that's
believe that is the true Slippy kid.
100% on the Slippy kid scale. On the 0% on the Slippy kid scale, it's Armada, who
It's
did who,
Armada.
who did not play. Like, if Armada showed up to a tournament again, no, I think the ultimate not Slippy kid would then have to be like not Captain Jack, not Ken. Be PC Chris, I guess.
It might be PC Chris.
But he bought he got the computer. Didn't play Slippy on the computer. So he would not be a Slippy kid. Yeah, it absolutely is. The very based definition of Slippy kid for people who watch Melee is I didn't know them.
Yes.
I don't know who
Obviously,
they are.
famously, Wally is a Slippy kid.
Right. Slippy kid Wally. I also enjoyed when we would give top players ballots and just finding out how many people they didn't know about because they could not perceive them. They were like,
Yeah.
"Who's Rocky?"
Oh, that was always really fun to see. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like it's like, oh, this top 10 player wins a ballot, and then it comes back and it's like, okay,
Oh,
so I guess you could do a ballot in 20 minutes. I'm not sure if I recommend it, but
yeah, you really could. Or like,
was there no Wi-Fi where they were? Could they not look up anyone?
was it Mango who said honestly, like everyone outside of top 35 is the same to me?
To Mango, that might be true unless he's playing Flipsy, which then it's very different.
Flipsy's got it out for SoCal.
Or
But yeah,
Flipsy's top 35, but we will
I'm
never
trying to
know.
think like who I have heard call it a Slippy kid, where I was just like, please watch
Uh,
any tournament. There's so many and they're
Bones,
so
I think,
good.
is a fun one.
Okay, but Bones is actually a Slippy kid.
Okay, well, Bones
Bones has been
is.
playing for 50 million years and is still a Slippy kid.
What's happening here is that we are going to create a dodecahedron scale of like what a Slippy kid is, and
Yeah,
there's gonna be all these
yeah.
different points, and you have to
Plays
like,
Falco, labs a shit ton.
and then it's like, okay, it's like if you're on this sector, it's like this is Wally, right? And if you're on this
Right.
sector, it's Ingen, and then there's Armada here, and like you'd
Posts
have
a
like.
lot on Smash boards. Has absurdly good text. Like Bones is definitely a Slippy kid in some sense of the word. Like Billy is not a Slippy kid, but he's a Slippy kid. Right. You
Uh,
can really.
okay, so I have a good question.
Oh,
No,
Axe
I
is
mean,
not a Slippy kid.
I have a question that you'd like.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
at what point does posting make you a Slippy kid? Posting alone.
Because I'm thinking about it, like, his pee-pee is Slippy Kid.
Because of the posts?
Yeah, because of the posts. It's so many posts, right?
There are a lot of
Is
posts.
Slippy Kid about posting? That's such a good question.
It's truly something that
I
you
think
know
so.
we could ruminate on this for a long time.
I think there's like the Chad never practice melee, show up to a tournament and like just like fight as hard as you can, no strat. Like kind of Santi scale, like from the Santi to Drug Fox scale of like being a Slippy Kid that tilts.
Mhm.
Like there's the Slippy Kid actual scale, and then there's whatever I'm talking about this way, maybe even that way. I don't know.
We're
Yeah,
getting all mixed up.
we got to keep exploring this because we're not ready for this.
We will, yeah, we'll write this up. We
Yeah,
will get it peer reviewed. We'll go to Ambi. Ambi will write a 5,000 word essay
it's gonna be
on it.
awesome. Yeah.
It'll be like a scientific theory by the time he gets through with it. Then we'll give it to Edwin, and it'll be some sort of indictment of capitalism, uh, while he's also telling the other people melee stats that it's like, sorry, the 1% baby.
Right wing Edwin is my favorite secret melee stats meme.
It's not that secret.
No,
We
it's
joked
not.
the other day about
It's not at all.
creating a melee stats bagel shop because I think everyone's talking about how much they hate their
What did you
jobs.
say?
We'll just
Say the food again.
boggle.
I'm sorry. I know you're like from Philly. This is not fair.
What am I supposed to say, dude?
I'm so sorry. I didn't. I felt the urge to bully, and that was wrong of me.
So we're gonna start a fucking.
I'm so sorry.
I'm freaking out. I'm getting so nervous.
We're
We're gonna shark. We're gonna shark now.
Yeah. Okay. So we start the shop.
We start the shop.
Yeah.
And then hey Tone.
Oh!
You're starting a bagel shop instead of melee? Oh!
Be a shame if something happened to the cinnamon raisin.
Okay, so we start a bagel shop that is not affiliated with any Italian American crime organizations. The joke is that instead of non-melee jobs, because every non-melee job is kind of killing melee stats right now, you start a shop, and then the joke ends up being that Edwin talks a big game until he's the boss, and suddenly everyone makes minimum wage without without benefits.
It's gonna be awesome when he gets the means of production, and he's like,
he's like, actually,
this is awesome. This is actually really cool, and I don't have to pay Ambi. This is great.
You read about Cuba in your spare time, and then your coworker, not your coworker, your subordinate walks up and is like, "Hey, boss, can I take an hour off?"
And you're like, "Hold on a second here."
I scalded myself.
Right.
I have a workplace injury.
It's my favorite part of the current affairs. Well, anyway, we're going way adrift. What are we supposed to be talking about? Are there questions, or are we talking about who's going to make it a summit? I think SPAT makes it a summit. I think
SPAT's a great pick. You want to go 1-1, and we'll get all 6 out of the way.
Yeah. I'm gonna go again though, because that's how it's gonna work. I pick Shroomed because he will never not make summit somehow if he is capable of going. Like if he didn't have to go or if Dreffin's there. The only ways he doesn't make summit. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so you get 2. I
get SPAT and Shroomed. Yeah.
I'll pick Fiction.
You pick Fiction. Okay.
I
Smart.
mean, we could cut it up. We could find out what bracket it actually would be, but I think that
he's got to play Axe, I think.
You know what?
Or maybe none. I don't know. He's got Gatsu. He's got a great bracket for trying to make it. Like if he beats IBDW, which I don't entirely think is very likely, he's there, right? You make it a winner semis, you're there. If he beats Ginger, yeah, I mean, I think he's got a good shot. He should just pray that Axe either loses or wins or does something a little bit different. Good pick.
I think when it comes to, yeah, dude, I don't know. When it comes to Shep, I think that he will do his weird thing where he's all esoteric, and then he'll get 4th here, and then he'll be like, yeah, everyone just sucks.
To counter your pick, if I get to go again, or are we somehow like stupidly snaking it after my Shroomed pick is?
I thought I was gonna get to go again.
Yeah, no, you go again because my next one's...
I'll do the next 2.
Yeah, no, you.
I'll get the script. No, I'll get the script.
No, you should go. No, you should go because you're not gonna pick who I'm thinking of.
Okay, well, I'll pick. Our picks might be different. Our picks like might conflict with each other. We might have to have like some crazy bracket thing to happen.
Hmm.
I'm gonna pick KGH.
You're gonna pick KGH? Oh, yeah, that's actually a
uh,
pretty neat pick.
Face
Uh,
roll, I think that's doable.
you think it's doable? And if
Let's say
he
it's Army. Let's say he has to play Army.
Armada Del Duca absolutely just drowns Axe, right?
Uh, and
Um,
then and then he would have Wizzy. Not sure if he's winning that, but
uh,
then he would go down and then play Fiction. Okay, so obviously these we didn't think this through because
no, I pick face roll next. I pick face roll.
we picked
If
everyone from
he
the same corner of the bracket.
that's what we're doing. So we're not trying. We're just going head to head right now. It's just a fight of honor. So face roll beats KJH, beats Axe in that matchup. Would play Wizrope, beats Wizrope. He's in, right? If he loses to Wizrope, he plays. Oh, it's seeded to be none. It might not be, and then it's like Fiction. That's actually an extremely reasonable bracket. And if face roll loses to Axe, it's Rocky, Kalamazoo, S2J, and Kadoran. And I think he's favored or even in every single one of those.
Yeah,
So that's my pick. I go with face roll, and now we can go to now that we both have two.
I think
No,
I
I have
have.
three. Now you should go again.
Okay, I'll finish this off.
Hmm.
Now it would be really funny if I pick Army, who
You
like
should pick Army. You should pick Army. Yeah,
who in order for these scenarios to work would already be like eliminated at 33rd or something.
exactly.
Uh,
Yeah.
but
So we're covering
I'll
some
pick
bases here. Why
I'll pick
not?
Army on this one.
Yeah, pick
No,
Army.
I'll
Yeah.
pick Army in heart and then
In real life.
ooh,
So you can pick Army now, and then you have your fourth pick.
my fourth the true pick would be hmm. It's very funny that we didn't mention Wizzy or
No, we're not. I thought we were
H-Bugs.
agreeing not to actually go for people we are confident will make Summit.
You did say SFAT, by the
I did
way.
say SFAT. SFAT is almost not seeded to do it. He has to play Kadoran
Let's say
in
Kadoran
quarters.
then.
You're going to say Kadoran?
Let's
Right.
say Kadoran.
Right, you think it's a Kadoran. Right. All right, I think that's an okay pick. I think yeah, I mean it's funny. He is seeded to play Johnny or face roll.
Mm.
I think he'd rather play Johnny.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think both of them are we gas him up, we talk him up, and I think that he is legitimately one of the greatest players who's like actually active right now.
Hmm.
And even that's kind of underselling him. He's just really good.
He's
Like
very, very good.
he's a top 20 player, and it doesn't matter. Suddenly like if
Wait, who did you just take?
I took Kadoran.
Oh,
We're
you took
done.
Kadoran.
That's
Sorry.
six people.
Yeah, we took. All right, that's it. We're
We
locked
are
out.
finished.
Yeah. IBDW, HBox, Wizrope. We are not interested
No, I
in these picks. We're going deep value.
which I'm pretty sure, like in a bracketology sense, is not possible. But
No, we've done a lot of bad things right now. Probably one of us should have taken IBDW.
hey, look, sometimes they have.
Expectations low is important.
Well, you go to a major. Sometimes there's a laptop there. TOs are reporting stuff. It's just kind of signed in.
I've done it.
Sometimes you switch stuff around, and suddenly,
Yeah. All of a sudden, you've got a
so,
new bracket.
suddenly Wizzy has to play IBW in round of
Yeah.
64,
Yeah.
and Katoran is already in winners finals.
That was always the funny thing about Evo. It was like, yeah, I don't know. I now understand Evo seeding as a reaction to like if you truly
That's
believe that
very
the community is not able to seed a tournament without rigging it.
that's a very generous look at Evo, isn't
But
it?
like random is very riggable too. That's all I'm gonna say. And you don't even have to justify it.
True, it's actually easier to just to rig random because everybody like, I guess this is just what it did. I guess for some reason the 10 best players are all playing each other in round 1.
Weird.
And
Yeah,
my
well,
best friend
like my
is
best friend's sponsorship means that I should keep him away from the other sponsored players, which has been said before.
Oh, it's all been said.
All right, so we agree. That's our picks. We'll lock them in. What's next up? Boom, main stage done.
Yeah, I mean we're kind of going pretty quickly through it. I don't know if this is we mentioned those who we think is going to place top 6, but before we get into anything else, let's talk about who's going to win. This is
Who's
one
gonna
of the
win?
biggest tournaments of the year. In terms of big
Mm,
tournaments, we've seen Summit, which is an invitational. We are seeing another Summit, which is another invitational. We have seen Smash World Tour East Coast and Smash World Tour West Coast, both invitationals. Uh, and then you kind of look at it, and the scale of it starts to dip down a little bit after that. Riptide's probably the next closest thing you have to this,
hmm
and then Low Tide and stuff like that. It's not even at that level.
Yeah, here I
So,
disagree. I gotta say it right now.
all right, give it to me.
I think what you've described all not real. The biggest competition wasn't there. They didn't play them. Now, when you talk about a big quality tournament, what we're gonna talk about is Super Smash Con.
Yes,
That's the tournament. I mean, if we had winner, the Riptide winner,
true. Yes,
and the low
true.
tier the low tier city winner all play, how do you think they do against each other?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Smash World Tour pool.
You look
You've
at the
got it.
hard facts
You've
and the
got HBox, Ginger, Magi, Polish. How many of those people won Smash Con?
using Inui logic, you have to come to the conclusion that Polish is the best player in the venue. And if somebody wins this tournament, it does not count because Polish is not there if you read my book.
There's a lot of different reasons why this term doesn't count,
Yeah.
which we will get into in said
Just,
book.
I'm just saying, I just don't see how this matters if
But if
Polish isn't there.
I mean,
I mean, look at the top seeds. You have IBDW and HBox. Who beat them? Who beat them?
very true.
Yeah. But IBDW did win the run back, so I'm going to say IBDW wins. But
I mean,
SFAT's here too, who didn't lose to Polish.
SFAT clearly undefined in terms of
Playing
ability to beat Polish.
Yeah. Yeah, in throw to Polish weekend, which is more,
Yeah, I don't know if that it's kind of like there's Christmas and then there's like Orthodox Christmas. They're different weekends. Throw to Polish weekend. There might be a different version of Throw to Polish weekend within the same calendar year
I'd be
that we
excited
might
for
see.
that. Yeah, I'd love it. I'd love it. I'm sorry, what were you saying? You were saying something and it sounded really smart, but then I am
Uh,
contractually obligated to gas up Polish.
no, I said the word Orthodox. Was that it? Oh, it was before that.
It was before that. You were talking about all the tournaments, scopes of tournaments.
I mean, I was talking about. I think I was just kind of saying the same thing that I've been saying this entire time. This is a big tournament.
It's a big
No,
one.
but it's like this is a tournament. You go into the other ones and you kind of have an idea of who's going to win because as
Yeah.
stacked as they were,
Mhm.
it's like a closed pool of players. Now
Right.
we have this open bracket and we talk about how crazy that is, but at the end of the day, does that change who ends up winning this? We
Yeah,
have IBW, we have
yeah.
HBox, Wizzy. Yeah,
That's bad.
the level of people who could like the number of people who could win, that's not that big, right?
I think obviously Cody's the huge odds-on favorite. It's funny
Yeah.
because HBox is, I think, still playing very, very well. I think that's the wildest part about all this.
Yeah.
If you look at W, get used to net play mode, he's playing some of the best melee of his life, and I do believe that. And so is SFAT. Wizrobe is not right now, and that's okay because he could. And
Yeah.
the same for Axe.
Yeah, Wizrobe and Axe, both players who really impossible to count out.
Right.
Wizzy Wizzy was literally one or two sets away from being ranked number one for the summer.
That's right.
And then it felt like he fell off after that, but he kind of just like he could
He's
lose to
fine.
Lucky or he could, get third at a big tournament. So it's tough to say, what he's going to be able to do. I do think
hmm
if you want to talk like actual real chances,
Yeah.
look at who's not here for Wizzy. Mango's not here.
Mango's not
Plup
here.
Plup isn't
Plup
here.
is not here, and those are two horrific matchups.
That I mean, like this doesn't suddenly become Wizzy's favored to win, but Wizzy has done somewhat well in the past versus IBW. IBW has the head-to-head recently.
hmm
Same thing with HBox. I believe HBox won the last set they played, but
Yeah,
Wizzy
that
did
was
beat him this
yeah.
year in
It's
person.
it's funny because HBox has kind of walked into this zone where he's got a pretty good side of the bracket, but I don't think he wins unless he gets a lot of help. But
Yeah.
if you think that like all he's got to do is beat like some combo of IBDW and Wizrobe twice, if you think he beats SFAT, he can do it. But I don't love it. I don't think this is. So he'll
Yeah.
win, is what I'm saying.
That's how it happens, right? Well,
Yeah.
that's how it used to happen. You used to seed, I say you in a second person sense,
Mhm.
uh,
Right.
when it's me. No, one used to seed HBox not first, and then
He
HBox would just win.
he won every one of those tournaments for like a huge streak, right?
It didn't really matter what he did before to deserve getting seeded third. Once you seeded him
He
third,
would. He would
he
just win.
won. And we really have not seen that like fire and intensity to prove everyone wrong. He got third at Summit. He got third at
Yeah.
Riptide. He
He
got
hasn't really had a bad tournament yet.
it's.
His
But
worst loss is Polish, who played unbelievably.
do you think that's the thing though? Is that what I mean? I don't know. It's pretty reductive to say that's keeping him back. But like the fact that he got third, and fourth. That's if he got 33rd at Riptide. I think
Uh-huh.
he's winning the next tournament he goes to.
That's actually, I know what you're saying, and I hear you, but I do disagree. I think he's legitimately. No, no, you're right, actually. You're right. Because you do think that there are some moments where, I don't know, it's really funny. Like, I talk about this W mode, right? Should I elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, let's go
There
into
are
W
some
mode.
there are some points where, like, for example, Elliot beat him and talked about this, where it just seems like he's not entirely looking at the screen. He's just kind of like holding forward at you for a
Hmm.
while, and it's unclear exactly what's going on because it's uncharacteristic of HBox, and it's very, very different than what has worked and what does work. So if you watch, for example, HBox versus Ben, there'd be W mode and not W mode. And W mode, Ben's doing great. And not W mode, it's not looking close at all, right? And he used to have these times where like you'd watch, well, I guess I should attribute this. Like Alex Puff stuff used to do these analyses of
Hmm.
HBox's Puff. And 20 seconds and then just be like, I have no, just really don't know what the plan is, what's going on. Is kind of drifting. And it's very hard to play high level play Puff, especially versus the best players in the world who also often main characters who do well versus your character, right? That said, I don't know he if he had the holds W a little bit more implanted into him, then you see a little bit more of a shift. It's hard to say because I think he played really, really well versus Plup, and I think he played pretty damn well versus IBD out of the water. But if you look at what HBox was doing, I don't think it was like bad. So it's weird. I feel like he's elevating for these sets. It's just he's running into players playing better melee than anyone's ever played, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when he came back to LAN at Summit 11,
Hmm.
the question was like, okay, who can he lose to? And I was kind of someone who I think was still pretty generous, because I said that he's not going to start losing to everyone. But I
I
was
thought
like
he.
that. I didn't think he was. I thought the top
Mhm.
10 players would give him some trouble. And then that proved to be like, it turned out to be more top five, right?
Mhm.
Uh, right
I
now, I think if you give him Zane, if you give him Cody, I think those are really, really tough. Mango,
I don't know.
who knows? Truly no way of knowing. And considering Mango's really seems to only be going to summits now, we'll see.
Good for him.
Hey, if I could do it, I would.
Just sit on the throne.
But yeah, it's really hard to say with HBox. I think the funny thing is you look at his bracket.
Hmm.
Um, we talked about how Wizzy I think could win. I think Wizzy has a better shot at winning than HBox does, but I think HBox has like
And
a better.
yeah, like a more
Sorry,
suited bracket in certain
I would
senses.
I would say okay. I would say that Wizzy has a better
Wizzy's got a good
shot
one, yeah.
at getting top four.
Yes,
And I think that HBox has a better shot at winning this. Like
I
oddly enough.
agree. But it's also
Let
kind of weird because like HBox will play SDJ and he'll win, and he'll play Zamu or Slug, and maybe it looks close sometimes, but he'll win, right? It's one of those where you get a little bit, you get more. There's a lot more like kind of hopium in the air when HBox
yeah.
has these early bracket matches, but I don't really feel that it's that different. Like he could lose to Johnny, but
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like we would see some of that in 2019. Like we'd
hmm
see it's like, oh, S2J went game five with HBox. Maybe he'll win now.
maybe
And
he'll
then
win next time. Yeah, and
it'd
it's
be
like,
like it'd be one
uh,
game five in like a sea of three O's and three ones. Um,
sure.
But then what happened in online is we saw those game 5 scenarios and they weren't going to HBox anymore.
No, because HBox was in net play W mode or whatever
He
it
was in
was for.
W mode.
But I mean,
And
you look at players who are scary for HBox. Like honestly, out of the top 16, it could be any of them, but HBox's level of play has been so high that I'm like, I don't know. I'm just not convinced any of them can beat him anymore.
yeah, this is definitely a crew of players who it's I don't know, it's tough, man.
Yeah,
Like if you had to make a group of players who are scary for HBox, I don't really
this isn't
think
really it.
yeah, and not only that, but I don't think you could like juice it in their favor that much because I think whoever you give him, I
Like
mean,
make
unless it's
make the worst bracket out of the players here for him. I don't know, like put Lucky there, maybe if you believe in that.
yeah,
I don't know, like put Flex. I don't know, maybe Flex. It's like just pick like every weird sort of matchup that like maybe he won't. It's funny because there is a surprising amount of floaties kind of hanging around here,
yeah,
but and then a lot of foxes, and I don't know. It's weird. When he went to Summit, I thought he could have lost every single set, and it wouldn't have
yes,
been that different than his level that he'd been playing at the time.
yeah,
And considering how many people had transferable levels from, net play to in person, Akla is maybe a bad example because he was really coming up in the beginning of 2020 as well in person and was proving it versus
hmm
versus New York City. Yeah, I mean, Akla showed up, he played very well. Logan showed up, played very well. A lot of these players, they really, I mean, Logan is an example of someone who literally had almost no top 100 wins
yeah,
before net play. Showed up, played great, played fine. Logan losing to JFlex at Riptide was actually not the biggest deal. That happened quite a bit on net play, didn't it?
yeah. It was something within the realm of possibility.
Yeah,
And
like it
it's
wasn't insane. Just
really
happened.
fun to see. Like I think Logan's a really cool example of what Slippy,
Mm,
currently looks like. Because I think that the ceiling for a lot of people who've popped off on Slippy is really really high.
mm,
But the consistency that the people who've been playing for years
yeah.
that they have, I don't think it's really there necessarily. And it's going to be really fun to see them gain that because once they do, I think you have people like Logan, people like Ben, I guess. Ben obviously with that Wizzy win was really impressive. But like you have a lot of people who once they gain that high floor,
Hmm.
they compare that with their high ceiling. I think that's really really scary. But we're talking about HBox, I think.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we were talking about APUC, but really just to the point that like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think if like what Polish, remember what Polish said when when he was being kind of humble about it when he beat HBox, where he was like, he just stopped looking at the screen and held toward me at the end of it, and maybe
True.
that happens. I don't know.
There's always the possibility that that could happen.
Yeah,
And if you are lucky enough to be the person that happens against, that's up to you to seize the opportunity.
yeah.
That being said,
I think Kadoran wins the tournament.
that being said, Kadoran wins the tournament.
Or loses to Shroomed, and you're like, I don't know, that's not the biggest, surprise in the world, right?
Yeah, that I mean, very possible. There's definitely some people out there who can take this from Kadoran. I don't know why
Kadoran
I'm
could
played a
literally
lot.
lose to Kata, who, by the way, is here. Maybe.
Yeah, there's some Kata Central America representation. We're also seeing some cool
Yeah,
South American representation, Rocket, Blassie, Riken, stuff like that.
yeah.
Um,
Blassie and Riken have been kind of, or Riken at the very least has been kind of hanging around SoCal. He keeps ending up with these pretty tough brackets, right?
yeah, I mean that's we talked about how Mainstage is a tough bracket.
Hmm.
Also, any local in SoCal,
Right.
which is funny because that statement can be said for 15 years
Right, that's true. But like Westball is getting drowned out of top 8 by Ringler.
by regular. Yeah, yeah. It
That's where you are now.
SoCal truly is always able to reinvent
It's a
what like who their bracket monsters are.
Yeah, it's also weird because I think if Wally went to SoCal, he would just win.
I
He would
think if
just win.
Wally went to this, he'd just win.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Wally's got to come to this and win. But yeah, I don't know. I'm bullish on HGod this tournament. I really am.
I was talking to Gimmer about this. Name drop.
Name drop.
The one of the least cool name drops I've done. No offense to Gimmer, but one of the least cool ones I've done this entire show.
Just a
Like
roast.
the entire waiting for game. This is not a roast. It's
It's about to be.
usually I'll throw in a really spicy one.
All right.
Um, but so I was talking to Gamer about it, and
Mhm.
it's just like the idea of HBox winning a tournament now is somewhat cool,
Yeah,
right?
it's kind of awesome again.
It's not awesome. I don't know if I'd say that, but
Well,
like,
like old HBox was murdering the game. New HBox is toasted.
yeah, it is. Like I can say this right now because he hasn't won recently. That it'd
Yeah.
be fun to see him win, and then if he wins as the an underdog, I'd probably still be there fuming. But until then,
Yeah.
what he represents in bracket as like this kind of perpetual wild card, and
Mhm.
you throw him into Summit where we talk about how this bracket might not be like set to have as much demons. If he gets to Summit, and if the group of players who kind of expected to get to Summit, that's scary for him.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he's really hoping for some easier, like he's hoping Axe makes it a summit, which is not necessarily easy, but he doesn't really want Wizrobe there, but he wants because Wizrobe might not make it, right? There's
It's
also
hard.
that
Yeah.
element to it. If HBox doesn't make summit at this, he's still going to summit, right?
He's proven that, right?
Yeah, Axe will go to summit. Fiction probably has to win this because he's not going to campaign.
Yeah.
Ginger probably, it's hard to say, right? I mean,
Ginger might campaign and not make it past voting just from lack of, it's a whole
yeah. I
rigmarole.
mean,
I mean,
it's a
Ginger,
weird
Ginger, I
thing.
believe has made it to summit, so I don't want to get too
Yeah.
hard. Okay, what?
No, yeah, and he's been voted into summit. He's made it to summit. It's yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where if any of those players doesn't make it to summit, they still probably go to summit if it's not Wizrobe.
Yeah, true. I
Not
don't know.
a knock against his fan base. It's just the particularities of it. Actually, SVAP probably just like doesn't go.
I think there's a few people who, I mean, honestly, in the post Yingling Summit era, it's hard to predict anyone.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we kind of got a little off topic on H God
Yeah.
because I feel like
Sorry.
it's impossible not to. I do want
Anyway,
to just mention, I feel
yeah.
like it's very fun. It's a good bit to not mention IBW, but
Yeah, I mean, he looks good. I mean, he's got great head-to-heads against basically everyone here, right? He's up on HBox. He's up huge on SPAT relatively. You could see SPAT playing hot and take and getting two sets or
yeah,
something.
yeah, very possible. But he's definitely the person to beat here. How he's
Wizard's scary, but I mean, he's still favored. Still kind
uh,
of junked him last set, didn't he?
did you get to see the set that HBox and Cody played at Smash World Tour?
I did, but they're all melding together. I don't remember it being really all that close.
No, it was not. It was
It's like pretty bad at the end, right?
it was very quick at times.
Like
That
HBox was like the first two games it was good, and then like he clutched, I think, a game on Dreamland. Is that right?
Yeah, and then you
And
have
he
to
just
play
got
FD,
yeah, he just got rolled on FD, and then he
and
got rolled on the next stage, right? Got
Cody
rolled
beat
on
him on
Fountain.
FD in like 90 seconds or something. It was
It
like
does feel
two.
like HBox is at times it's almost like resign worthy when he ends up there.
And the thing is, if you're Puff,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you have the luxury of just resigning
Yeah.
to just losing on a stage. I'm not sure if the stages versus Fox work out in the sense where you are able to say, okay, well, I'm going to lose this one. There are a lot of characters that have a lot of winning matches on stages who can just say, okay, I
Yeah.
am losing this one. I don't think Puff is one of them.
I don't want to comment on what I think he should do or what I think he's thinking, but
He should go Ness, is what you're going to say.
no, I was just, like I just think he should just terrorize everyone who I don't know. I mean, the nobody is as good at terrorizing you for going to FD as like Outclaw.
True.
And I'm not talking like Mewtwo King, where please do not do this unless you're really feeling it. It's or Zane, But I'm saying, Akla will terrorize you for trying to pick FD, right? Like, oh,
So
you're gonna chain grab me? No, I'm going to literally throw bombs at you for 7 minutes. Hope
did
you had fun.
you did you see what happened when Aklo took a game versus Zane? Do you know what happened next? Do you know where they went?
They went to not FD, I think.
They went to Battlefield.
They went to Battlefield. Yeah, that's smart. I mean,
I'm not
Fedoran
about to
got
call
boozled.
I'm not about to call anyone a coward, but
I'm not going there.
I'm not going there. But if someone were to say that not wanting to play Link as the de facto second, first best player, whatever you want to call them,
Yeah.
first best, second best, if someone were to do that in a game, that might be cowardly. But I would never call anyone a coward for doing that, especially Zane, who I think is wonderful player.
Well,
Zane's not going here.
Zane's also very cognizant of like not letting people catch rhythm. If you remember Zane SFAT, where SFAT's like, "Do you want to start FD or something like that?" And Zane said no because you want to do it.
Yeah. No,
You're not doing that, and I'm fine on any other stage. I don't,
I'm not knocking him for that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a very
it's a very Zane sort of thing to be like, no, we're not even going to do the thing you want to do.
I got to talk to Nunn a lot at Smash World Tour, and he had
You had a
some.
great time at Smash World Tour.
I talked to people, and as you could see from Nunn's Twitter, there were some bars. Well, there was one particular bar
Yeah,
that was went to a few times, and
at 4 a.m.
yeah, I mean, it's their fault that they didn't kick us out. They're supposed to close at 2, and
It's true. It's true.
like we're not expected to take ourselves out at 2.
Where am I gonna go?
Yeah, it's like I don't have the self control to at 2 a.m. to be like, well, you're supposed to be closed, so even though you're still giving people alcohol for money, I will
I've
leave.
demonstrated I'm not making good decisions, so really not.
But
So you were talking to Nunn.
and it was before 4 a.m., which you know gives some insight into maybe how he was thinking. Yeah, he's got some very interesting ideas on what counter picks represent and how to play them. He's kind of got the idea of like just go to the worst one, just like do that. Because you don't want to be in a situation where you have to play on your worst counter pick game 5 or something.
It's kind of true.
So, frozen, non-frozen stadium was kind of a thing that people were talking about at Smash World Tour, and some people weren't really that excited. Some people were, but None was like, you know what, this is good. Just go to stadium. You don't want to be caught on the rock game 5. Just do it. Like do it early. Which
So purposely counterpick yourself or purposely? I don't understand how you make this happen. Do you strike there?
Well, I guess like, well, you can't strike to
Well, you can't
Pokemon.
strike to non-transforming,
Yeah.
But like, you could strike to FD when that's neutral, right? And just be like, whatever, it's the first game, I don't care, I'm warming up.
Yeah, I think that's like, does it work? Who
I don't know.
knows? I'm not sure if it works, but it is an interesting proposition.
If your Nana works, maybe, yeah. You're just,
Uh,
I don't know. Where are we on our list of topics and things to do?
I think we're nearing the end of it. We got
Mm.
some good conversation in on the same circuit. We got to talk about main stage. I don't think that we have any official call as to who's going to win. I think
Yeah.
Cody's going to win. It's one of those things where it used to be uncool to say HBox is going to win, and now we're kind of getting to the point where
It's
at a
cool
tournament
again,
like
but
this, yeah, it's just like it's cool, but I'm not sure if I want to be the one who's going to do it.
I'm
So
not gonna do it. 'Cause I don't know. I just, I think SFAT and Condoran. I don't know. It's HBox SFAT could be really interesting, or it could be like a lot of other things that we've seen recently. It's just SFAT's level lately has been nuts. If you haven't seen Smash World Tour, you need to watch those sets. They're just which you have. I'm not telling you. I'm saying the more
no,
secondary.
they were very good. You seem to be questioning yourself a little bit on who could win, and I think that's very understandable considering
Well, I
just how
just like
stacked
don't want
this
to say
is.
Cody, but it is Cody. It's definitely.
Well,
I mean, Cody for a lot of
yeah,
reasons, right? He
Cody's
goes.
Cody's very good.
He's a very solid 1 seed here. There are matchups that don't give him a particularly large amount of trouble in his path, with the exception of perhaps Wizrobe or maybe Axe if he sees Axe.
The last thing I want to say on this is I messaged Cody. I was like, "Hey, are you still going to main stage?" He's like, "Yeah, for sure." And I thought it was cool to say to him. I was like, "Okay, cool. I heard some people say HBox is going to win." And I was just like the only way that I could consider that a possibility is if you were dropping.
I can't
Like
tell players like that. I can't. I'll jinx
I
him.
should probably not have said that.
What do you say?
Uh
Was it chill?
he said don't tell me that.
Okay, that's
And
smart.
then I just said, "Well, don't think about it." No, but like I probably should have just not said it, but multiple people did say that it was like looks like a good bracket for HBox, and then it happened so much that I was like,
Are you
okay,
guys not seeing this? Yeah.
is he dropping? Did
Right.
I not hear this news?
It's one of those things where you're like, wow, he doesn't have any 16, when in reality he was 95% to win that, even if it was tough, and not accounting for like the 10 to 15% chance he has to beat IBDW
Yeah.
let alone twice, right? And so we anchor onto the wrong thing, right?
It
But
is. It is just very funny, you know. Like that's the only way that I can see that possible.
I think it'd be
Is
absurdly unlikely for HBox not to be in Summit just looking at this bracket.
I think you could very well do it. But yeah, I mean, that might kind of be the end of it for main stage.
Yeah,
So
I'm happy
you,
finally saying the obvious thing there, which I've been trying not to say.
it's never fun to say the obvious thing, and then
I
you kind of
know.
just got to do it.
The first seed's
Welcome
favored.
to the podcast. Hey, the first
Sure.
seed's probably gonna win. Guess what? This isn't ultimate. Well, I mean ultimate MKLeo plays. So, but yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna be seeing a really cool tournament. And you know, Chroma, you've been around here long enough to know how this old thing works, how this little hunk of junk runs. So you know that we have patrons who ask questions, and you yourself,
I
you
do know
know,
that.
a big green name.
That's right.
I believe you got to feast your eyes on some of these
I saw
questions.
some of them, and then out of respect for the game, I decided to stop reading them. Also, I was pretty busy today, and I didn't prep very
Gotcha.
much. So why don't you go ahead and give the patrons best shots to me? What do they got?
Um, well, so there's one that I wouldn't ask anyone, but it seems kind of up your alley.
Yeah, you
Do
should.
you know the Do you know the Tunux question?
Let me see the Tunux question. Let me find it because I can read it. Is this in the?
I'm gonna send it to you.
Yeah. If you send it to me, I will read it and then choose to maybe answer off the air.
Now,
Oh,
generally,
that's a good one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Tunux
Which
doesn't get his questions asked because
yeah.
obvious reasons.
Which incident would you cancel Edwin Budding for? Oh man, we talked about so many good right wing Edwins. Okay, absolutely know the answer to this one. It would be as someone who's retired from the game, I understand that it's a little bit gauche to pass judgment from outside the ring, right? I'm not there, I'm not competing. And maybe I should try and get back in there just for the sake of if I'm going to keep like making content in some sense and engaging with the scene. I really need to, get the taste of that every so often. So maybe I shouldn't criticize Edwin for this cowardice, but I really thought it was in very bad taste that Edwin would not play Ambassador's Wobble Bowser.
Yes, yeah,
I think
that
that's
is
not right.
it's something that I hate to even
The gauntlet was thrown down, and he wouldn't debate Ambi in the public
in
arena
in the marketplace of free
in the
ideas.
marketplace of free wobbling for Bowser. Right. So just to clarify here, Wobble Bowser is
It's the side B, which is modded to just be an infinite. Knobbling, I believe, is the technical term for it. And there might have been some games that they played knobbling Bowser, but never versus what Ambi truly wanted, which was Edwin's main Marth.
that's
there
right.
was there
The
was never.
full there's no option select of the secondary. This is just full sort of.
And I hate to compare ourselves to the greats, but it's times like these where you have to ask yourself, would Ludwig turn down the opportunity to play if confronted with knobbling Bowser?
Mhm.
Would he turn it down? And it's just like, I don't want to drag down Edwin Budding,
A
but
true champion Ludwig would do it.
we all love content. Everyone talks a big game about loving content
Yeah.
until you get challenged by knobbling Bowser, and then suddenly you got other stuff to do.
I love Wobble Bowser. I love the idea of the thought experiment of like, are we okay with wobbling if Fox could do it? Are we okay with wobbling if Bowser could do it? Does that really impact our view on it? In
I
terms of
hate
what the
that thought
meta,
experiment.
yeah, of what the creaking ship of the current competitive metagame can handle, for us without us having to pass judgment on it.
It always
So
just felt like stuff you'd say at like 4 a.m. when you're
I
being
love
all
that you can do it.
philosophical.
Like we could have Falco Kirby. That could be a thing we can have. There
We
should be
should
like
have that.
we should have like 50 characters you can pick.
This reminds me of that moment from God, I forget what tournament it was. This was when HBox was winning everything, so you couldn't remember what it was. But
Oh
he
yeah.
was talking to Scar, and he's getting interviewed by Scar, and he's like, honestly, we should have, more stages.
He's right.
And
That's correct.
And yeah, he's like they should mod in more stages or something. And then Scar's like, He's like, and they should like mod in more costumes, and like 5 new characters. He's like, whoa, whoa, wait.
Scar part of the Falcon block, which took away all those stages, so that
It just
probably
God,
good, but
the idea of HBox just winning a tournament and then just like riffing and just being like, maybe we should have Wario in this game.
hey, my first tournament, a guy was like, it'd be cool if like Sheik could charge bob-ombs instead of needles. And
I
you could
mean,
just throw
yeah.
them and they do, and I said, would they do less damage? And they're like, no, they do full damage, full knockback. And you know who that person was?
Is it someone who possibly might be on the top 100 all time?
Yeah, like think top 5. Yeah. So it's, the spirit is in them. So good question. Thank you to Nox for that. And also thank you to Tunox's FBI handler. Uh,
Yeah, that is, we do love our patrons, but we kind of underestimate the another person who's in the patron channel, which is the FBI handler who's
yeah,
sending all this information
we
over.
like to have a lot of laughs in the studio.
We love to laugh.
We love to laugh. All right, next question.
Can't ask that. Too next question.
which, which one?
You will see it afterwards.
All right. Will you post it? We post it
I'm
so
kind of having trouble.
writing it again.
You are kind of a lightning rod for some problematic topics.
Yeah. Were there any fitness ones? Is it like who could? Did we finally discuss? Oh, who is? Okay, I'm just gonna answer. I'll answer that for Tunox, the highest rated player who has not done that. That would be Captain Face Roll.
And
All the other ones there wasn't malice, and we'll keep going.
we won't divulge that further. Yeah, we kind of got disrupted in the patron channel while we were asking questions because we started talking about the individual color rolls of this server.
Oh yeah. Because everyone wants a more cerulean blue, but they're not getting it, so I don't know what to tell them.
No, they like the blue.
They can't have it. They like the blue. Folks love the blue. Everyone tells me they love the blue.
Lots of people say they love the blue, but here's a fun one. Here's a pretty open-ended one. So feel free to talk about how much how much or how little as you'd like, as much or as little. Johnny Gamble asks, "What's a fun or interesting story about San Diego Melee?"
Oh, yeah, I think one that Johnny Gambo would appreciate was just Pass House 3, the one that we ran, right? I want to just emphasize how that would not have been a possible tournament without the massive amount of grassroots supports that like almost every SD Melee head had. They were all pulling TVs. They're all running pools. They're all just doing insane, weird favors. The only way that happens is with the amount of people that just helped. And so we had some money left over after the tournament, and we then just roll up about like 50 to 70 deep, I want to say. Maybe not that many, but it seemed like that. And, we show up at about like 11:30 p.m. to just a Villardas. And we absolutely just ruined the place. we spent a good amount of money, but I don't think it was enough to just justify how badly we mobbed this Vallartas. And there are a lot of funnier stories and probably more interesting stories, but I really just just an appreciation of just everyone that I met there over the years, just coming together and doing all of the weird and inane shit you have to do to run a tournament.
It's very fun to have a night that leads to you immediately knowing that you should not be back in that establishment.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you can't ever go back. In a similar story, I think a bunch of us got drunk and saw Pirates of the Caribbean 8 or something like that. And, we had discovered that you could bring liquor. They would sell you liquor at tournaments. Or not at tournaments. At the movie theater. And we're all just like yelling at the screen and just ruining it for everyone. And there's this couple in front of us who is seemingly pretty excited, I now realize, just playing it back in my non-drunk mind. They're pretty excited to see Pirates of the Caribbean 5 or whatever it is. And there's a scene at the end of Pirates of the Caribbean 15 where they're implying that Davy Jones is coming back to like hunt Will Turner and also Elizabeth Swann, right? And it's scary and it's spooky, and we just yell. We just go nuts at the screen. And this guy turns around to us and just goes, "Shh. We're trying to watch the movie." And the movie ends. 5 seconds later. And I just have to appreciate that he was holding it the whole time. And we were probably being pretty awful, because it was a tenuous movie at its best points, I will say. And we promised him, and I remember we said, we're gonna be quiet for the rest of the movie. That was not it. That was bad. So uplifting story, bad story. Yin and yang.
It's all about balance here,
It really
isn't
is
it?
all about balance.
Well, other than the questions that we're not going to ask you, it seems like we're kind of running a little low on questions. This is kind of a fun week for people in regards to, lots of discussion about what colored names in this Discord server are best, and how some people in this Discord server or this call on this podcast episode are in the house of a famous streamer
Oh
this
yeah, I want to
week.
hear about that. Yeah, where are you?
Me?
Where did he
Oh,
put
you
you?
you noticed that I'm in a different room than I normally am? Uh, as you may be able to tell, I'm not in my normal room. I am in a wonderful sunny California, in an undisclosed location, which I believe that if Aiden got his way, I would have been like dropped off on the side of the road and had like a bag put on my head. But unfortunately, he did have to give me
Wait,
the
wait, wait. No,
address
no,
to
no.
put
You
in the
had
Uber.
access to a lot from what we understood of the pre-call prep. So why don't you do you want me to tell it, or do you want to tell the process of you logging into your Twitch to do this, to change the call?
Sure. So I'm staying today with some smashers that you might know. Ludwig, Slime, Aiden. I don't know why I mentioned Ludwig, the person who I don't really know.
It's true.
lead with the biggest.
Our group, it goes Aim and Gaming. He's at the top.
I love Aiden. I love Slime.
Aim and Gaming,
I
probably
cannot.
Slime, and then Nick, and then Lud. We don't dislike Lud. It's just like we love Aiming, right?
It's one of those things where it's if you just look at Lud in relation to Aiden, you think that we dislike Lud. It's not the case. In fact, I felt the need to drunkenly talk about how he understands set design. At the very famous Laurel, Maryland bar, no one was saying anything bad about him, but I was like, he look at the way he sets up what's going on, what the camera sees,
Oh,
his
for Lud's
stream
for Lud's
rooms.
stream, yeah. It's true.
I,
He's got a real mise en scène. I don't know. I'm just saying stuff.
I don't watch his streams, but yes, there he does very. I apparently loved that he did that. But yeah, I mean, we all appreciate Lud here. It's just the pure love of Aiden reverberates through. But yeah, I'm here at the Aiden house, and I am put in a little white box to.
The isolation chamber.
I'm in the isolation chamber. I'm in the fifth best streaming room in the house, which
That's
means
pretty high, honestly.
better equipment. Oh, it's the eighth best. Then better equipment than I will have in my house ever. Um,
Actually,
and I'm looking
fifth is still really high there.
20th. I don't know.
Because it's like it's Lud, and I don't know if Lud has a second one. There is Slimes. There's Cuties, right?
Yeah,
Aiden
Aiden
and
when he
Nick.
needs to do his
Yeah,
his
there's the Yard podcast, which is
true. No,
yeah, like fifth would
not
still be really
stream,
good.
but
That's all I'm saying.
okay. It's fine. It's 15th.
All right.
So I'm on the 15th best stream setup here, which of course has two monitors and a very nice mic. And I'm going to log into Twitch so we can fix the information, go live with this episode. And I go to sign in, and someone's already signed in on this computer. And it's the big question, right? It's like the you find $100 on the street, and do you take it? But instead of that, it's you find $1,000, and it's easily traced to you. So much so that if you even pick up $1,000, the FBI knows that you took it. And when I
It's
hit
It's
the,
almost like you would be broadcasting it to a group of people that you had done it, right?
it's almost like it's impossible to act like you didn't do it, because when I clicked on Twitch and was brought to the webpage, someone by the name of Connor Eats Pants was logged in,
Who's
and
that?
oh boy,
They
the
got a couple followers. What's that account like?
I think there's a few followers. I
Yeah,
think there's a few
Let me
subs.
Google this guy. I haven't heard of him because I'm a bit of a boomer. So let me take a look. What was it? Connor Pants?
Eats Pants.
Eats Pants. All right, not much coming up. All right, there's an account. Oh, it's got a 900,000 followers on Twitter. All
It's
right.
not a million,
It's
but
not a mill. Lots at a mill now.
I do think that if we were to go live with Waiting for Game episode 25 featuring Chroma, um, I do think that some people would know.
Oh, does he like Melee? We could get away with it. They
Yeah,
might
we could.
notice. He's got a couple. Let me see. They
It's like,
had those. Connor Eats Pants
I
sub
have a
count.
friend who he get in trouble for this? I have a friend who he did teach for America,
Uh-huh.
and then he started to teach at a
Ooh, cool.
place in Louisiana, and he was teaching there for coming on 2 years, and they found out that he actually did not have a teaching degree. uh,
He probably.
but you're kind of in a mutually assured destruction scenario there, because it's like, okay, well, what are you gonna do? Fire me? Then everyone will know that you hired me and let me teach for 2 years without a degree. So it's kind of one of those
I
things.
think they'll do it though. I think they'll fire you.
Maybe not in rural Louisiana. He kept his job. But it might be one of those things where, what are you going to let everyone know, Connor, that you just log into every account, you never log out? Let's try to spin this one. Just
I don't
like,
think it's that embarrassing for him. I think we're just screwed. Oh, I do have a Pat's House 3 story.
sure.
So I remember because we need the setups down from LA. We need to get the Wii's and we need to have someone physically just drag them from LA. And maybe they're in another spot, so someone has to like go drag them, bring them to my house,
Mhm.
my apartment in San Diego. And so in comes this smasher, and he's driven something
Young
like
fella.
five or six, yeah, pretty young, like 5 or 6 months, or I'm sorry, 5 or 6 hours, like total drive. Um, parks at my parks in my apartment, instantly just starts bringing them in, right? And we're talking a little bit, and I look at the back of his head, and it looks like someone has scalped him. And it turns out that he was trying to save money on haircuts, so he took some trimmers and just the back, right? So I have to take in this poor soul, and I gotta, so I take him downtown. We get some Cuban food, and we get him, a haircut. And he seems like a good kid, right? And so we let him commentate a little bit, right? And, he's pretty funny, and and eventually
Knows
he's
how to
got,
tell a joke or two.
yeah, exactly, yeah, a good guy. I don't know what happened to him, but I hope he's doing well. I hope he's doing okay.
It's impossible to truly tell who that is, but
Right, small world though, right?
yeah, on a related note, I was hearing some noise today from some stream. Some guy was yelling. Some guy with a
Boys,
some. I heard someone say,
the plan
"Boys."
is simple. There's an open seat for the U.S. Senate. Uh,
What's up with the U.S.? He's going to be on the UN.
is that better? That doesn't
I don't
sound
know.
better.
It does not
It
sound better,
sounds
actually.
much worse. Sounds strictly worse. Yeah, So it's funny how that works, right?
Why stop at a Michelin star restaurant when there's a Popeyes right next door?
That's what I'm saying.
Actually, that one I might not. There would definitely be some thought that would have to go into that for me.
Depending, yeah. Were we supposed to answer the teaser question, or is Edwin just messing with me?
It's about how much you can deadlift.
How if I can lift more than no flexes? I think the answer is no. I actually think the answer is no. Like I'm gonna guess he benches more than me because my bench is terrible. My bench is 200, and that's not great. I can squat 315. I might have him there, and I have been informed that he's hit 375 on deadlift, as you can see me doing in the picture. I have straps, so does it count? I don't really, I don't know. But I gotta say, you know, altogether, I think it was a pretty good day. I might have lost, but
Yeah, I mean,
I was trying pretty hard, and that was an opponent that defeated me. So I feel we should look out for them in the future. I think they're playing well, and I look forward to seeing them on the big stage.
this is truly one of the arms race, one of the best arms race to look out for in the melee scene is
No,
this. It's no fluxes versus you. Also on a similar level is no fluxes versus Kage, and no fluxes. Actually, no fluxes versus a lot of people.
someone said it very well, which was these are the two kids using Naruto jutsus on each other in the middle school parking lot. Is how I think about how Ganons talk to each other.
Yeah, it's really great that they all found someone just like them and they hate each other.
It actually rules so much.
Like, look at Peach players,
Yeah.
and like the Peach players will like they love each other so much.
They will yes and each other, or I guess the Peach equivalent, so true bestie each other
Yes,
nonstop, and I think that's beautiful. And now they are the nerdy kids blamming buttons and yelling at commentators about that. I didn't notice that they blammed the buttons in this specific order. I think that's
how
awesome.
did you not? How did you not notice it was a hyper
It
float
was a
right
super
there?
hyper float. Come on.
But yeah, very fun to see the kinship that some mains have, and then the
Just the raw hatred of.
yeah
Like,
of
can
the
you imagine a
Ganons.
Ganon making a cookbook for all the other Ganons? I think I still can. They've got a weird sort of like Trail keeps the peace, and they all have a weird sort of regarding of each other's aura that I find deeply disturbing.
It is, yeah. It's like spinning plates, right?
How?
I don't know. I
Yeah,
there's some diplomacy that's going on there.
there's a lot going on. Look, I mean, that's all I've got really.
Well, we talk about stuff that's going on. We talk a lot about melee. Not that much you, but that's because you're kind of off the grid. So this is pretty much a perfect segment. A segment that the fans do like the fact that it could be called touching grass. Edwin does not, so
Hmm.
it is an as of yet unnamed segment. But people kind of only really hear what we have to say about melee. So this is a perfect opportunity to talk about something that's been going on in our lives that is not melee related. Do you want to talk about anything that's going on in your lives? Recently, maybe something fun that you've been interested in?
Ugh, there's work, which I'm not gonna talk about. That's not happening. My cat is growing more powerful and
Hell yeah.
by the day. I'm excited by her power and her strength. She is very scary, and yesterday she murdered a fly out of the air and then just stared at me. And I really enjoyed that. That's a good time. I'm going to New York. Like I haven't been really anywhere in a while, so that would be pretty fun.
That's fun.
That'd be good. It's the girlfriend's birthday, so we're gonna, see a bunch of Broadway shows. I don't know what they are. Just,
Second acting. Just pop in to
exactly.
see the ending of everything.
Pretty much, yeah. Let's see what else is going on in my life. I don't know. It's just like just hanging out, getting weirdly into fitness because like what else are you gonna do, right? Starting to run again, which is neat. Oh, I successfully did not run the New York City Marathon last weekend.
That's fun.
I was very proud about that.
I know you have completed a marathon before. Was it the New York City one?
Yeah, it was the New York City one. I actually got hurt about like 19 miles in, and then I just death limped the last like 7 miles, and it was just miserable. And I want vengeance pretty bad, but I also don't like running marathons that much. So it's a real mix, so I'm very proud of myself for not running it this year.
Could okay, so I see you don't want to play a marathon. Play a marathon.
Yeah, exactly. I
I
don't.
I see you don't want to run a marathon. Could I offer you a 5K?
Yeah, all right, I'm down.
Could I offer you this is the mountain 5K?
Oh, Jesus, is this the Alaska one?
The
Yeah,
Alaska one?
yeah, if you like watching videos, look up Ali Ostrander's Mount Marathon 5K run where she's like, "Hey guys, this is a race that I run and now I'm going to basically run up a mile up a mountain and then I'm going to fall down it. And this is pretty hard, but I won." Yeah, no, runners
Yeah, we
are.
we got to talk about that. I found out about that 5K and you were able to show me that video. It's
Yeah, do you watch what she said? It was wild.
I watched it. It looked horrible.
It looks so bad. There's a part where you can't see any of the runners because the flies, like 1,500 meters up, are miserable and swarming the runners in Alaska. So it's also like you have less air.
Yeah, so that's the next melee stats venture, I think, is we're all gonna run that mountain 5K.
Oh yeah, other running shout out. Molly Seidel, bronze medalist in the Olympic marathon, very rare for U.S. women, ran a personal best at the New York City Marathon. Rumor is she broke 2 ribs beforehand.
Oh God.
And at the end, you see there's a shot of her screaming in celebration while another woman is throwing up, visibly right behind her.
It's
There's
the
just
marathon
something.
spirit.
There's something wrong with these people. This is
Once you
terrible.
start finding something wrong with people, then what's right with people, right?
I know.
We just
What
spent
about you?
like 2 hours talking about who's gonna win a melee tournament.
It's gonna be, are you winning, son?
What
Are you
about
winning?
me? I
Yeah.
mean, I can't say I am in LA currently. Well, the greater LA area in an undisclosed location. Uh,
It's
eh,
actually like a huge deal that you do not leak this.
yeah, no, I was joking that I'm gonna sell this information, but I'm pretty sure that I'm
That's
gonna be
like
tailed.
it's like a dark concept, right? Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna be yeah. I think like I'm already like I got like chipped or something, and if I ever leak this information, it's just gonna self destruct. But no, I'm hanging out in LA currently. I am here for Smash, so that's not really that's not the touching grass or not touching grass or whatever this is called. That's not in the spirit of that. Something that I have been into. I didn't want to use this as my thing for
hmm
this week. Uh, but a few weeks ago, maybe 2 months ago or so, I used White Lotus. I was like, I've been watching White Lotus, and I'm going to use another white rich HBO show, and I've been watching a lot of Succession. And
Oh, I loved episode 4. That was
okay, I am
unbelievable.
on season one,
You're in
so
season 1. Okay. Now, honestly, good choice. Very funny show.
it's funny. It is funny, and
It's a comedy.
I didn't really know what to do going into it. There aren't really there are jokes, there are some jokes, but more so it is very funny to see the characters interact with each other. I think every character is written very, very well.
hmm
Um, and just like seeing these characters who are like very fleshed out having all these different interactions with other characters, I think is really amazing. That's one of the things that I like most in media. It's like I'm gonna use a really weird example. It's
hmm
like everyone calls Charlie Brown Charlie except for Peppermint Patty, who calls him Chuck. And that's how it is in like life. And that's just something that's like fiction doesn't get right. Is that like they will have a character and they'll just have everyone treat them the same. And it's like,
Right.
no, it's like we all have different personalities. We all like feel different levels of comfort and ease around people. And we are all different like entities towards different people. And I
Gotcha.
think that Succession's really fun in pairing characters up and just like yeah, it's funny to see their interactions, even if they aren't like jokes that would work on like a late night comedy show, right? They're not stand up routines. But I think that's really good. And in addition to that, it is also very well written drama,
Yeah, it's a great
kind of like the
time.
selling point of it.
You got to tell me when when the phrase "bore on the floor" means something to you.
Okay, I will let you
You
know.
gotta watch out for "bore on the floor." Have you met Greg's grandfather?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I need you to know, and this is a spoiler, and people didn't pay attention to this as much as they should. In a recent episode, Greg and his grandfather are talking, and Greg's grandfather, James Cromwell, is that right? James Cromwell?
Yeah, that's what
F
I want to think.
Farmer
But
Hogg?
it's James Cromwell because I was trying to think of his name, and that's what I came up with. And then
Mhm.
I was like, shit, is that James Carvell? But it's not. Uh,
So Raging Cajun. Um, yeah, it's funny because James Cromwell is so tall that I finally realized like how tall Greg is
yes, yes,
because
that
he was standing over James Cromwell, who is like 6'5".
yeah, that happened in an episode I was watching. I think one of the first season episodes. It's
Mhm.
Thanksgiving, and they walk in, and Greg is taller than James Cromwell, who's yeah like 6'5", 6'6", and I'm like, oh,
I was like, oh, that guy is a monster. Yeah, he's great. He's a lot of
he's
fun.
he's as tall as Dennis Rodman.
It's true. He he should have hooped instead of going
He's
to
as tall
Mississippi.
as Studebaker Hawk.
That's actually also he might be Stude's size. He might not be.
Well, student height, student
Stude height.
size.
I mean, Stude's 6'8". I mean, it's funny. He was in my car at Riptide, and I drive my girlfriend around, and she's like way back because the seat's been moved so far. It's like, what happened here? No, I was gonna say a lot of people didn't notice. In a recent episode, Greg's grandfather, who played, Farmer Hog from Babe, if I'm getting the character name, he says to Greg, "That'll do," and it's just like that'll do. And we lost it. That's a show that we enjoy very much. Yeah, that's a good pick.
I'm excited to be able to talk to you about this, and yeah,
Hmm.
I think this was fun. I'm gonna let's try to cut it here before we get too deep into the Succession cast. But maybe that's our next venture after we all run that Mountain 5K.
We just hear Edwin talk about capitalism and Succession.
He talks about how much he hates it, and then suddenly, when the Melee Stats checks come in,
Hey,
wheat.
so
Wait,
the great two.
Edward makes a dollar. Wheat makes a dime.
That's why we put off the podcast to go watch the Sixers one time. Um, what was I gonna say? Yeah, no, the two competing philosophies of socialism is when Edwin No House and Don't Pocket Watch will have a great debate one time.
It'll be really great. And this was really great. I had a really fun time talking to you. I know that this was, we are bi-coastal.
That's
We're
true.
not usually, but this time we are. So I appreciate you, coming on to make this work.
Thank you.
Usually what happens before we go is we plug, but I'm not sure if you have anything to plug.
Oh, that's a good question. Watch Mainstage. Obviously, I think that will be a lot of fun. And I guess when the next meme pick shows up for Summit, as long as they are not awful people, I think, let's all try and be cool. Let's try and be supportive out there. Let's play a clean 4 quarters. Other than that, what else do I have to plug? I could do the Jack thing where I just like say, oh yeah, a special treat for Jack if he's listening this far. I've actually started to read Henry George's Progress in Poverty.
How's that going for you?
Man's kind of spitting. It's
Oh.
interesting. Obviously a little bit, you know, out of date in terms of some stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Georgism. There you go, Jack. You're good
Well,
for like 5 years now.
yeah, this is good. Now we never have to have Jack Zilla on because we kind of check that off. So I appreciate you doing that for us. Made
Anytime.
our job easier.
Any plugs for you?
Well, yeah, so if you liked what you're watching right here, you can watch live. Try to do these episodes weekly. It's on twitch.tv/melee stats. If you want to catch the episodes as they go on to YouTube, you can do so at the Melee Stats archive on YouTube. Also on YouTube is where we're going to have the Melee Stats channel. That's going to be our videos. That is going to be kind of the main content that we put out. And I want to pat myself on the back a tiny bit and pat Ambi and Edwin on the back a lot. The game Nintendo Wishes It Never Made.
Yeah.
Whoever came up with that name, very good name. The game Nintendo
Some
Wishes It
idiot.
Never Made recently hit 100K, which is
Woo!
amazing. I think that's our 5th video to hit over 100K views, and for this to do so in about 2.5 weeks,
It's
under
also
2.5 weeks.
also wild reading some of the obviously the comments were very positive, which I think is good, and I think we should focus more on. But the
Yes.
negative comments, I was expecting if there were, I was expecting maybe people who did not agree with our interpretation of what we were doing with Nintendo's work, debatably. But it was really more that we mentioned COVID existing. And people were
Yeah.
very, very mad about that.
So generally as YouTubers, I think we kind of have the hard line that if you bring up something weird and bad, it doesn't have to exist in the comment section. You have the ability to delete something, and I've heard YouTubers talk about this. J. Kenji Lopez has talked about
Yeah, if there's slurs in there, you don't
just
have to
delete it.
Yeah.
There's no reason to keep it. So I think the idea of not focusing on the negative stuff, that's a really great one. But what we're seeing, you're right, it's not negative.
It's
Well,
wild.
it's not
It's not really
positive.
about what we talked about at all, even.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people who watched maybe an entire video about how Nintendo wronged a game.
How much? I want to see
time and
their
time again.
engagement specifically. I want to see where they were watching. They're
Yeah.
like, you really had me until you mentioned that COVID killed people.
I
Then
thought this was just going to be a fun video about how this big capitalist company destroyed this game.
yeah, I thought we were gonna have a good time. I thought I was gonna learn about a secret Nintendo game that they had never made. Yeah. So that was something that I would not have bet at. I would have bet that it was going to be the usual, like, very pro Nintendo sentiment
Yeah,
kind of
which
accounts
yeah,
that,
some of, but not as much as we
which
expected.
is fine. Like, we weren't trying to bait anyone. I don't think. I think we were just
No.
trying to put together.
But yeah, I mean, if anyone wants to watch the video that gets so much talk, the one that generates so much talk, you can get in on the conversation. You can watch that Melee Stats on YouTube. Twitter.com/Melee Stats Pod. That's where we're going to be posting links to this type of stuff. We're going to be posting daily reporting. So if you want to see what's going on at the local scene, we have that for you there. On Twitter, we're also going to be posting links to articles that we put on meleestats.co. So you can go over there, catch up on Monday Morning Marth and When's Melee on Fridays to see what streams there's going to be for the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And if you love what we do and just want to support us, patreon.com/Melee Stats. And you can get that beautiful blue color roll that we've been talking about so much.
Yeah, we've got the pay. We've got the pay. Sorry, the Discord, where we talk about just various weird minutia that happen in the Melee scene, and we also are tweeting out results. And just to clarify a little bit, if we say someone won a tournament beating someone and so on and so on, they actually beat those players. Because a lot of people think that we're leaving them out on purpose, but they just happen not to lose to the winner.
Yeah, that's very fun. Very
But
fun. Everyone has an opinion on that, and then
it kind of rules. It means they care.
it's good engagement. That's how you look at that, right?
Speaking of which, I am not excited for the top 10 day of the all-time top 100. Have you seen? It's just because I took a look at Smash Reddit, and they are very, very adamant about their pick being number one all time.
I don't think there's a way where you can make a top 100 all time and not have people turn it into a complete shit show. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that the work that we've put into it, I'm happy with what we did. And if you guys want to catch up on what's been going on with the top 100 as of today, we have the top 50, or all the bottom 50,
51 through
51
100.
through 100 have been released on pgstats.com. So you can check out the top 100 of all time on the episode that we had prior to this one. Edwin, Buddy, and I talked about it. And then as we get closer, who knows? Maybe we'll be able to do another episode on the top 100 itself as we get a little further into the list. Well, Chroma, it's been a really fun episode. Little one-on-one. It's nice to have a little alone time with you.
It's just nice not to have Edwin here, really.
I mean,
I'm sorry, Edwin.
we're all thinking it, but
Edwin is spending time with his wife.
yeah, it is rude that it's like that episode of Seinfeld.
It's like you live with
where
her
they get
every
together
day.
and they just make fun of Jerry. It's like the only thing that they can talk about is talking about weird things about Jerry.
It's true. You just remove the I can't even think of it. The stone that holds the building up. My God. All right, that's probably it for me. Thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
That is probably a sign as any that the episode is done. Well, I think that pretty fun episode. It's very fun to just be able to kind of shoot the shit, and then I think that for better or worse, I think that's an episode where we did this. But
We
I had a
really
great
did.
time. I hope that anyone watching had a great time. And speaking of great times watching stuff, Mainstage this weekend is going to be
Mainstage.
amazing. Maybe who knows? Maybe in the background you'll see me reacting to a big upset like I did Mainstage 2019, where I'm front row and I put my hand on my head because I see the Ringler beating a Marth player who shall not be named. So keep
That
an eye
wasn't
out
an
for that.
Ringler is the best player in the world, and unfortunately probably has a tough bracket, but that's okay. Yeah, tune in. You're going to see some wild stuff all 3 days. Some tournaments you're not going to see wild stuff the first day. You're going to see wild stuff all 3 days.
It's gonna be super fun. So yeah, I'll hey, if you're listening to this right now and if you're at the event, I'll be there. If you want to say hey, might as well do it. And for those who aren't able to say hey to me at the event, say hey to me in Twitch chat next week, because we'll be doing an episode on Mainstage. So I'll see you guys then. Peace.